And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara Podcast. Here's Jeff.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. And if you're on the other side of the planet, happy Sunday to you. We've already got 70 people here, which is great. And I hope we're going to have a super busy evening tonight. So let's see. Let me kind of put on a little background music while I'm chatting and waiting for my first guest. All right. So if you want to join me live, all you have to do is go to Zoom, click join a meeting. And then if you look in the description below, it gives you the room ID and password. So it's real simple. And then you just get in and get a line and you can join me. Let me see. What do I want to talk about next? So let's just talk about this. If you're new here, in the description below, besides, let me kind of get here so I can see what's there. Okay, so in the description below, you have a link to the JeffMara Podcast Facebook page. There's a link if you want to friend me on Facebook. And if you will notice, my last name is Reynolds. Mara is my beloved wife, and she's the unseen important part of this podcast and the head editor. So she is there, and that's Jeff and Mara, but it's just called JeffMara Podcast. So that will hopefully clear up any confusion. What else is there? We have 3 other YouTube channels there. We have the JeffMara Podcast NDE clips. So those are just NDE clips only, and those are for people especially who just want to invest 5 to 20 minutes of time and just watch the NDE. They don't want any intro, they don't want any questions. That's for you. I have a JeffMara music channel. I produced music before. I produced a Latin artist CDs, 2 of them actually, and I'm gonna at some point like to kind of produce meditation music, and other stuff like that. So I just kind of threw up some old music there, and I have some other stuff to put there. I just haven't been able to do it yet. And then another channel there, it's been out there, it's the JeffMara Cooking channel, and we used to do different stuff, and that's even got some old content. But what it does have on that channel is how to make broccoli sprouts, and broccoli sprouts are super powerful for you. They have an amazing amount of antioxidants in them, and they're easy to make, but it's kind of difficult for people. So I just made it super simple, super dumbed down, super slow, so you can learn how to do it from me. And then once you do it, it's pretty easy. So that's there. And I have some other cooking stuff I might get back to, but just once I get settled. I might do that. And Without Ego says, did I produce the music at the beginning? Like what I was playing today? No, that's actually YouTube music, but that's a good question. And what else is there? So those 3 channels. Link to our merch is there. And I think that's about it. So let's get started. I think you mean at the beginning of tonight. Yeah, tonight it's somebody else's music. So that's that. All right, well, let's bring in Bobby Richardson. See what's up with Bobby. And thank you for that, Michael. And thank you, Raise LWNL. I'll look at the chat while I'm waiting for Bobby to get here. Let's see. Oh, she was there. You're back. Hey, Bobby, how's it going? Welcome back.
Very good, thank you.
What's going on? And what's going on down under?
Heaps.
Heaps. Now, did we talk about you possibly channeling for us today?
Yes, I can.
Are you up for that,
guys? Today, I actually have a really profound message that I want to bring through as well, if that's okay.
Do you want to say that message first?
Yeah, that would be really good.
All right, go for it.
So the message that I'm getting at the moment is that this game is actually a game of learning how to control our mind.
Okay, you mean
while we're alive?
That means just being in this incarnation is a game, learning to control our minds.
It is,
okay.
But it's not a game of defeating anything else but what's inside you. And when someone leaves this life, they automatically have this peace that goes within them because they're not in the monkey mind that has been programmed by those outside of us to try to keep us in that monkey mind. So the whole game is to bring utopia on earth through ourselves and our inner selves, connecting with, not allowing that to be in charge, which is constantly searching for someone outside of us to take over our role. And our role is to take our own reins to our own life and move forward. So they're really in my head at the moment about learning how to connect with our own minds and control our own minds. So I just had to get that out because it's really important at this point in the evolution of humanity's consciousness.
I'm going to ask you something. I recorded an amazing podcast last night with a man from Australia named Darius J. Wright. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's an astral traveler and been doing it for, 15 years. But he also says it's a game, and he is the second guest that said this game is coming to an end. Everything is coming to an end, and we're going to have a massive celebration. We've basically experienced everything there is to experience on Earth. Somebody's done everything.
Yeah, we're still going to be on Earth, but we're going to start to bring in the intuition back again. Our connection to the divine, to the soul, to the spark of who we are. We just love going on a journey in this avatar, in this body. But yeah, in 2020, I had an extraordinary account with meeting with source energy, and it took me on the journey of how humanity was literally going into the inside of this huge torus energy, kind of like a tree. And then we were going in the inner self, and we were getting to the point where we were going to meet love, the essence of everything. That's who we are, just love going on a journey, God going on a journey, Prime Creator going on a journey. And when I saw humanity's consciousness entering that just at the beginning of 2020. So I know we're coming close to that point of literally threading ourselves through the eye of the needle of just love. And when we do that, we had to actually love ourselves and everything, the journey that we've been on and everything all together. And then we end up creating or carving a whole new path through the lessons that we've already learned through the journey that we've been on.
I don't know if you've read the report about the Monroe Institute, but I can't remember who the scientist that read it, but was saying that our entire universe is a torus.
Yes. Well, we are that. And when I went and met Source Energy, I actually became everything. And when I became everything, it became me. So I realized it was from my own perception of reality that everything was created. And it was a similar sort of thing happened when they took me into the potential of humanity. I ended up being in this potential, waking up in it. But when I came back to myself, I got sucked into a tree that was touching the ground, the donut shape again. So to come back into my story that I'm creating now, as source energy going on a journey, I ended up getting sucked in that same Taurus energy pattern, and humanity's consciousness has done this journey of going through the right hemisphere and learning everything about that, the left hemisphere of the brain and learning everything about that, so that we're just coming out of the logical side of ourselves, looking outside of ourselves for what we can create outside of ourselves. But to do that, we had to be locked down from the right hemisphere, because otherwise the right hemisphere would take over and we wouldn't have had the experience that we've all had. But humanity's consciousness is learning and developing as it goes. So now we're all entering source energy, which is just love of self again, where we started from. But then we can take all those experiences and start creating a whole new game, a whole new path. So that's where I see it.
All right, before we start channeling, I want to let people know that she's going to channel. I'm going to take your questions. So if you get your questions in the chat ready for me. How long have you been channeling, and who are you going to be channeling?
So all my life I've had channeling things happen to me, but I didn't actually get it. I didn't realize. Actually, one of the most profound things is when they actually led me to dig up a gold bracelet in the middle of a beach. They just kept telling me, think positively, think positively. Wow. And then they said, open your car door and dig. I'm like, what? And I dug up this solid gold bracelet worth thousands of dollars. And I'm like, okay, I've got to listen to this voice now. That was when I was 27, but I'd already had this connection anyway. I just didn't recognize it. I channel through the Palladians. I go straight to source energy now, and I can see from that perspective is different to what the Palladians' perspective would be, different to what the Arcturians would be. And like, they all have their own journey that they've all been on. So sometimes I get multiple ones coming in with their answers, and so I just let it flow. I don't try to connect specifically unless I really feel that. And sometimes Gaia comes through herself. So I end up just speaking as I'm speaking. I believe that we're all able to tune in and tap into our soul, which is connected to all other souls.
So basically there'll be a multitude of beings. We don't know who's coming through. Could be source, could be Pleiadians, could be Gaia, maybe even your higher self.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
My own soul. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so if you want to ask her some questions, you get those prepared. Do you need to do anything to prepare yourself?
No, I just be me and be as present as possible through this.
Do you feel that you're connected all the time?
Yeah, pretty much. It's how I think. It's who I am. Yeah.
All right.
I have to put on another hat to fit into society, actually. It's harder for me to do that.
It's hard to be it's interesting for me is I make these recordings every single day, and my wife and I are at home a lot. We're editing, recording, and then we only step out mostly to shop and do stuff like that. So I forget that I think that the whole world is having these conversations, and I forget that they're not.
I do exactly the same thing. Yeah. Get into the real world and go, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
All right. Let's see. Let's get to some questions here. Did the Egyptians use shamir worm to cut the stones from the pyramids and vibration to lift them?
Let me just see what I get from that. So what I'm getting is, back in the Egyptian day, there was also extraterrestrials that had this technique or understanding or wisdom that could move these brick or these big stones. They could cut them. They could move them through energy, through the understanding of how the material world worked with the energetic world and the vibrational meat of that. They could actually carve these create this and move them, although some of the ones in charge did get some of the humans to be enslaved, to feel like they had to move some of them. There was both that was happening, but when they wanted something done really fast, because there was a switch over around that same time where the logical mind was coming in and the Atlantis era had moved out. So there was this switchover of having to train or teach the humans how to do things with their hands, and so they used to use them as well. There was some sort of slavery going on in some places, and in other places there was they knew how to carve and meat with that vibrational meat. It's not as clear cut, so to speak, as what we believe, that we want to like specific, and that's all across the board. But there was different personalities within the extraterrestrial races as well as the human race that were meeting a certain obligation to bring us back into the physical world, out of the connection to the soul. So yeah.
There wasn't one extraterrestrial group that was in charge of the pyramids? Or was there?
The actual pyramids, there was, like, if we're talking about the pyramids as in Giza pyramids, there was a few, there was actually certain, like Anunnaki was in charge, but then they also had other ones that were also working with them. So there was the seers as well. Seers came from a different place and they were working with them as well. They had another I'm feeling that that's telling me they had another reason why they were there, because they had another perception of reality and keeping humanity's consciousness in, almost like they are higher in benevolence, but they also had an understanding that humanity had been meddling too much, and they needed to learn a lesson of some sort, and they were part of that as well. I'm just getting little fragments of what they're telling me. So there was a few that were in charge, but the main one in that time was the Anunnaki. The Reptilians were also part of their agenda as well, and there was different beings that manifested into different forms in different countries. So they actually went round to a few countries. They didn't just stay with the pyramids of Giza. They went to Australia with the original people there. They went to Inca and Aztec and all those, and they came in as looking like certain beings, telling everyone that they were the gods, because they wanted them to follow them. And we weren't following our soul's mission anymore, which is the connection to source energy, straight to source energy through our soul. So we were looking for some leadership or guidance, because that's what the logical brain does. It always looks outside itself for leadership or guidance. So yeah, there was a lot more to that timeline. And still some to be uncovered. There's still some mysteries to be uncovered, and they don't want to bring those mysteries up yet completely, because it's in alignment with certain humans that were born specifically with a mission to find that mystery, because that human that brings that mystery up will be gaining status, and then they will be listened to be able to connect back to their soul. So there's a whole heap of games going on behind the scene.
Well, somebody asked, could you tell us how to make a Murkabar? It seems like we need... A Murkabar within the energy field of oneself actually should be given to you. The last steps should be given to you. And so that means that you've already stepped past the veil or the illusion of the logical mind, just trying to super analyze everything and moving into the intuitive mind. And that means that the last step will intuitively be given to you to be able to connect and have an understanding of what that Murkabar really means, or that vibrational meet of self as source energy. So that then you, when you meet that, you can actually create or carve whatever path you desire. You don't have the fear
anymore, although we do slip back and forth from into fair game and out of it at the moment, because that is the intense energies aligning us with source energy as the Murkabar, the energy field that's around us. So there is certain meditations that you can seek. They are online, and if you seek that through, online, and then it will should take you only to a certain point. You should be able to get the last piece of the puzzle intuitively.
Somebody asked, can you explain the reptilians?
Okay, so the reptilians are a breed that came from another dimensional space, and they were the consumers. So say, for instance, God wanted to go on a journey and it ended up creating the creator beings. We call them Lyrans, vegans. That would be this universe. And then on the through the veil on another dimensional aspect, that there was the reptilians that were created. Both sides ended up coming to the end of their story. Consumer consumed so much through the outside of themselves, looking at what they could create through each planet that they came to, and then the creators created. They ended up because the consumers, which would have been the reptilians, ended up being brought into this reality with the creator gods, and then they ended up blowing up some of their planets. They ended up causing chaos, which scattered these creator people or beings, the Lyrans, the vegans, and then those Lyrans and vegans ended up going to all sorts of different planets, and they were trying to infuse DNA with them to make themselves stronger, because they didn't have any sort of, their bodies had grown weak, even though they had the wisdom of creating. They needed some sort of push against something else. So the reptilians came into this reality from that meet of two vibrations meeting to be able to learn. And actually they're saying that humanity's consciousness is a development of these two sides of ourselves that we were created from. We were created from the Lyrans and the reptilians as well. And that's part of the shift that we had in our DNA. And then we end up, when we find peace within ourselves, so too their stories will find peace within their stories of what they were meant to be, why they meant to come. But they've come to the end of their story. They only came here to help humanity with pushing us into such a space that we needed to start looking at our intuition again. So they've done their job, they did it really well, and now they need to let go. And now it's time for them to face the fact of where they lacked in love by trying to control another. So something like that. I'm like listening to this going, where are we going? Sorry.
It's okay. Are there humanoid-looking ETs? And if so, are there some on the planet right now?
Yeah, so there definitely is. Actually, there are many souls born straight from extraterrestrials into as a human, and because of that, we've kind of carved a portal, so to speak, for other beings that can merge in to humanity's reality to be here. So the cry for help went out from humanity. The ones of the higher benevolence decided the only way we can help was to be born as human. And then that ended up opening this porthole, because when we were born as humans, straight from that say Pleiades that I was born from, or any other, Arcturian or Andromedan, whatever it is, then that actually carves a path or an energetic alignment for those beings to be able to be present here as well. And they can walk through this planet as their own body, but then we only see them as human. They can be that, or they can actually manifest themselves as human, depending on what gifts they have from that planet
Would you
or
say
dimension.
that the humans that were previously ETs that are being born now, starseeds?
Yeah, you could say they're star seeds. I mean, and also they really want to make sure that everybody realizes whether you're a star seed or not makes no difference to source energy. We're all absolutely equal on this, and we all have a piece of the puzzle in this beautiful game that we're playing. So never ever put anyone on a pedestal just because of a name or anything like that. We're just doing our little piece to add in. And then whether you being a human life after life after life, which is a friggin' incredible story in itself, or whether you're a star seed. But yes, they would be called star seeds from the perspective of a human looking out.
All right. Well, Bobby, if people want to learn about more of what you're doing, what should they do? Go to your website?
Yeah, so I have a website, www.codestoanewreality.com, and I have a really big channel. I started it a couple of years ago. I just went, that's it, I know who I am, and I just went, I've got to get out and I've got to do what I've got to do.
That's great. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
That's Bobby the Messenger.
Bobby the Messenger. Okay.
Yeah,
what kind of content are you? What kind of content are you posting there?
So I'm posting, I do stepping through portals, which is actually taking someone on a journey into onto another planet. So I'm trying to open up those remembrance of these other beings, because we have had connection with them in the ancient times, or any other being that wants to come through. So I've done a series of that. Codes to a New Reality was another series. That's what it all started with. That was a 2-year long channeling. I do channeling. I play with tarot once a week just for fun for everyone, do some free chat bar readings. But great. I also have a school on Monday that's only $20 if you want to come along to the classroom. And this week's going to be on our interdimensional gateways, which is to do with a pineal gland and our power that we're going to take back.
Do you know about my Discord?
No.
Okay, Discord is kind of like Facebook, but different, and it's free to use. And what you do is you go to discord.com, you get your free profile, and then there's a link actually in the description below, and you click on that link and it gets you to what they call my servers, which are basically like my chat rooms, and I have like 3 or 4 of them, and there's close to 600 people there. And it's kind of like you can post videos, you can video chat, audio chat, you can post memes, you can kind of do whatever you guys, do whatever you want. I don't even manage it. I just kind of set it up. Once in a blue moon, I'll pop in there, and sometimes I'll have to police it, but that's very rarely. And so you might want to, you're welcome to post your stuff in there. And there's multiple rooms, and one of the rooms is called services. And so what I allow people to do is some people do tarot readings or energy healing or whatever. And I say, if you want to find people to practice on for free, if you ever want to offer some free services, just post it in there, and people will, I'm sure that somebody will say, yeah, I'd love a tarot reading or whatever, but you're welcome to take advantage of it and like,
Thank you.
Chit chat and hang out there. And I'm hoping everybody else who hasn't been there, that are in the chat right now, you can do that too. So it's a great place for all you like-minded people that we're kind of like one community, that if you want to hang out with this community, you can do so there.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll take advantage of that, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, Bobby. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Don't be a stranger. Come back and visit us again.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All right, take care. And a big round of applause for you. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm playing on applause for you there. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Anyways, that was Bobby. All right, so next up we've got Brandon. Let's bring in Brandon. Let's see what Brandon's up to. So yeah, I was looking at that. I was looking at the Discord today, and it's pretty close to 600, which is pretty amazing because I remember from the beginning, and it was probably less than 200. All right, I hear him. I just don't see him yet. Brandon.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Well?
Yes, I can. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good.
Welcome. Where are you zooming from?
I'm in North Carolina,
What part?
Greensboro.
Greensboro. All right.
Yeah.
So, what do you have to share with us this evening?
So yeah, I just want to basically I just want to go over my experiences with extraterrestrials or aliens.
Oh, really? Yeah, let's hear about it. How did it happen?
All right, so basically for the most part, none of this has been physical.
Okay.
This has all been through the dreamscape because I guess they primarily communicate with me through dreams.
Like lucid dreaming, or do you feel like in the dream state that you leave your body and go with them?
I say it's like a mix of those two.
Okay.
So it's like, you know how you're half lucid, but you're not. So you can almost sort of it's very vivid, but you're not completely lucid.
Okay.
So I would say it's a mix between those two.
Are you taken against your will, or are you willingly going?
I don't know if it ever happens, it's willingly.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
never. Yeah, I'm never like, no, don't take me. Like it's always going to be willingly.
Do you think that you have an implant somewhere, or they've chipped you in some way?
If they have, I have no idea where it is. So maybe it could be possibly an energetic imprint or implant.
How
So
often? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but if they have, I don't know if what it is or where it's at.
How often is it happening?
So this is happening. I would say these dreams happen a couple of times every year.
Okay.
So it's not a set amount of times, but usually I can count on these dreams happening at least a couple of times every single year.
All
And
right.
they usually have sort of a recurring nature.
So tell us what happens.
Okay, so in the very first, I would say the very first instance of this happening was back in 2011 or 2012. And in this dream, I was in a big library. I just recall opening a book up, and it said, the only thing it said was, the gods are returning soon. And then next after that, I remember being outside, and there was like a giant moon in the sky. So basically like a super moon, like times 10. And then there's also a UFO. And so in this dream, I recall when I saw that, I remember being very nervous. Sort of like if you were to meet somebody of high ranking or high prestige, I felt that type of nervous. So yeah, I believe that was the very first instance of them showing up. And for some reason, they always like show up as the moon. So I'm not sure if there's any symbolic significance of that. But so like for example, it's like a recurring instance. In a dream, I'll be outside in the night sky, and then I'll look up and it's like a giant moon, or it's multiple moons, along with a UFO in the sky. So let's see here. And then sometimes they appear as stars in the sky. So for example, it'll be a starry night outside, and all of a sudden I'll see like a bunch of stars move in unison across the sky. And sometimes they'll form images. Sometimes they'll just do crazy things. But I remember one time they formed a giant like warrior across the sky, and they slowly moved across the sky. There's a group of stars.
Now you're seeing the stuff in the sky in your dreams, or you're seeing that in reality, and then you go home and dream about them that night?
Oh no, this is definitely in the dreams.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I haven't had anything physical as of yet. So,
They've never like taken you in aboard their ship or anything?
in the dreams.
Yeah.
I remember the one instance of me actually seeing ETs was when I believe they took me somewhere to my I can't recall the details because it's a bit blurry, but I remember it was two blonde hair ETs standing in front of me. One was a woman, and then one was a man with short hair, and they had on those blue type skin type spacesuits they have.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see in like movies? They were wearing those, and their eyes were like completely black, but it wasn't scary. I felt very peaceful in the moment. But I remember I can see the environment, but they said something along the lines of, "This is your home world called Glen."
Hmm.
Yeah, so I can't.
Glen.
Right, that's the word I remember hearing, and so yeah, I remember just they had emotionally, they didn't have any emotions expressed on their faces, but it felt very peaceful in that moment. So let's see.
How has your life changed due to these dreams?
Oh well, they were a confirmation of the whole starseed. Because I've always believed in like starseed and all this stuff since 2010.
Mm-hmm.
But these dreams and experiences have really like cemented it in my
Mm-hmm.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact that I'm experiencing these things.
Do you think you're a starseed?
Oh yes, I know for sure. But now as far as like this specific type of how many, like I have no clue. Like I've had readings before where they said like it could be Sirius or from Alpha Centauri or the Venus star system. But yeah, generally I have no specific clue if there's any specifics. I just know that I am a starseed though.
Have in any of these messages, in any of these dreams, did you learn of any messages for humanity?
Well, I actually have this thing that I just do right here. So in one of these dreams, there was a UFO in the sky, and we were in the forest. And then from an aerial perspective, they brought down this giant message to the ground. They said, "This is the answer," and it had two math equations. And so I know it's kind of hard to get, so I drew it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put it up on the screen.
These are the math equations?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can you see that?
66 plus 6. This is the answer. 144 plus 28. So 72. I don't know.
Right.
I might have to do quick math. What is that? 172? 172 is 172? Is that what that means? 144 and
Yeah.
20.
So I believe it's 72 and 172 when you add it up.
I don't know. What do you think that means?
That's a good question because so obviously, and I know in numerology, you're supposed to add up the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So 72, you get 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then 172, you get 10,
Right.
which adds up to 1.
Right.
But the thing with numbers is that there's so many different meanings attached to it. It's hard to come up with a concrete example.
Right.
But for example, a 9 could be completion. It could be creativity. It could be end of a cycle. Or 1 could represent new beginnings. So I'm really beginning to get more into numerology, so to try to figure out if it means anything specific. I mean, what it means, because as of right now, there's so many different meanings attached to numbers. It's hard to tell, but I believe that was the most concrete message they gave me so far.
So you've seen some humanoid looking ETs. Have you seen any other ETs that are not humanoid looking?
Yeah, I remember in one instance, this wasn't in a dream. I was in sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was like coming out of the dreaming state.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in space, and there was a bunch of, I was flying through space.
Mm-hmm.
And then this small sort of grayish looking alien, it wasn't a gray, but it was like, it had purple skin, but it was like a gray, with the big bulging black eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was short in stature. And it slowly began to morph in front of me. and materialize. And like I said, once again, in this instance, I wasn't afraid. It was just, it felt very peaceful, but I don't recall it giving me any specific information. But I know it was doing something with me though.
Do you have sleep paralysis very often?
Yes, I've actually had some
Tomorrow night,
crazy.
I was gonna say you definitely want to watch tomorrow night's video. As a man who has been out of body traveling due to sleep paralysis for, I don't know, 15 years, and I feel like he's mastered it now. And he talks about how to do it and all the places he has been, and it's pretty amazing. And it almost kind of fills in the pieces of the puzzle of what's happening with NDEs. So if you're someone that's you're already suffering or experiencing sleep paralysis, watching this may help you figure out how to do it without fear, and then start traveling all over the place.
Right, hopefully so, because when you first get sleep paralysis, the first thing you encounter is probably fear, because you might see something crazy out the corner of your eye, your peripheral, which I've had happen to me.
Yeah, I think he's had sleep. As soon as he popped into sleep paralysis in the beginning, or at some point when he first started doing it, there were beings right there next to him.
Right. See, I got to work on that to try to not be as fearful of it.
Right.
That way I can start astral traveling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Brandon. Well, I'm going to have to go here in a second. Do you have one last thing you want to share with us?
Oh yeah, I had this one last dream of a giant light wave hitting the planet.
A light wave?
Yeah. So this was back in 2014. And I recall seeing the entire globe. I saw the world as a globe, right? All the continents.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to see all the names, a bunch of names appearing across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't next to each other, but they were all sort of placed. You could tell they were sort of placed strategically. Like it was sort of in a grid-like motion. So you could see all these names coming in. And then I saw my name on the East Coast. And then from that, I saw a giant purplish light wave rushing across the planet. And it was going with, it looked very intense as it was going across, but then dreaming in there. So I'm not sure if that's, related to the whole light wave event everybody's talking about, or the solar wave or solar flash.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember.
It's so fun. It's so
ahead.
Interesting that you're saying that, because we were discussing yesterday also about that the end of this game that we're playing on Earth is almost over. And and I think what he was saying is that when the game finishes, or for each person, you see a flash of light. So maybe that's what people are talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, Brandon. Well, thank you so much, sir, for coming and hanging with us and sharing your experiences. We really appreciate you. And don't be a stranger. Come back and visit us again.
All right, we'll do. If I have anything else to share.
All right, take care.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. And a round of applause for Brandon. All right, next up is Leon. Let's bring Leon in. And we're pretty busy tonight already, 300 people. It's great. My next goal is to get 1,000 people here in the chat. I want to just see, there's so many people here that the chat, when you look at the chat, it's just scrolling by because there's so many people. I think that'd be really cool. And I know we can definitely do it, because the people who play video games and live stream their video games get tens of thousands of people. I mean, they may have 10, 20, 30,000 people. So just imagine what it would be like if we had 30,000 people here in the chat. It would be so amazing. And it would probably be so busy, I would probably have to extend this an extra hour, and I still wouldn't get even close to getting everybody in here to share, because it would just be like what you see here, this people waiting. It'd probably be 20 or 30 deep, just people trying to get in. And so that's our goal. That's our vision. All right, well, let's see what's going on with Leon. Here he comes. Leon. Oh, his audio isn't on yet. Well, wait a second. I'll give him my sign. Made from our very own Penny Sutton, who made this for me, and she does other printing stuff. So if you ever need some printing work, she's your girl. And I hope he sees that. Waiting for audio to sync. I think he got it. So sometimes it takes a minute or two to get the audio to sync, and we'll hang out until it gets going here. Oh, I was hearing the sound. This microphone is super, super sensitive. And it's interesting that I can hear just the slightest things. It'd be perfect for ASMR work, like this kind of stuff. And yes, why not 100,000? That would be a great idea here and now. All right. His is slow. I'm not sure why Leon's is slow. Every now and then it's really slow for it to...
Can you hear me?
Now we got you. Welcome, Leon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. Where are you from?
Mexico.
Mexico. What city?
I'd rather not say.
Okay, well, I'm not going to hunt you down and try to find you. But I've been to Mexico. It's a beautiful country. I've been to, Monterey, and I've been to Cancun, and it's a beautiful country.
Oh, yeah, Monterey. I've been to Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty.
It's a big
busy.
city. Yeah, it's a big metropolitan city, and I've been to those. It's Colo de Caballo, the waterfalls.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Yeah.
So that's been my experience there. So what do you have to share with us?
During the week, you have a guest on that mentioned that during his near-death experience,
Mm-hmm.
the grass was overgrown. He saw everything the same, but his name is Aaron Thomas.
Gosh, I gotta look and see which guest you were talking about, so I can kind of.
He saw the face of God.
He saw the face of God. Okay, so give me 1 second there.
He stopped breathing.
Okay, yeah, Aaron Thomas Green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he mentioned that when he was out of his body,
Mm-hmm.
The world was the same, but the grass was overgrown.
The grass was underground. Okay.
No, overgrown.
Above the ground.
Like too tall.
Over the ground.
Like it wasn't cut.
Okay, it was very tall grass.
Yeah, and I had that experience with astral projection.
And you had like an out-of-body separation?
Yeah, I had an out-of-body experience where from a dream I was outside. I wasn't asleep. I was on my back on my bed, and suddenly I was outside my house looking at my lawn, and the grass was too tall. And I thought that was an interesting coincidence. Like there's another dimension where everything is the same, but the plants are larger.
Yeah, that must be pretty cool just to see someone else describe what you have also experienced.
Yeah.
You should reach out to him and talk to him about that.
Yeah, well, my experience was really short and it wasn't that significant. But I've had many of those experiences where I'm relaxed with my eyes closed and I'm suddenly seeing in front of me.
Are these experiences happening spontaneously?
During meditation.
Meditation. What else have you seen besides tall grass?
Well, I've attempted to read something that I wouldn't know. but I failed. I haven't been able to obtain new information.
You couldn't remember what you read? Is that what you're saying?
No, the text was obscured. Like it wasn't as it was in real life. And people generally interpret that as if it's not real because you can't obtain that information. But
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I believe that it is a real realm. It is a real reality, but it's not the same as this one.
This is off the subject, but I think it might be pertinent to you. What has been made available to my channel, and probably it'll eventually to everybody, but I'm kind of one of the first people, anyways, not many people have this yet, but I've just done my first video and it's being processed now, where they are going to take my videos and overvoice them in Spanish and Portuguese and it's like, I guess it's through AI, because I don't think actors are doing it now. The computer AIs or whatever it is has gotten so good that they're going. And I've submitted my first video, so my voice is somebody else doing my voice, somebody else is doing the guest voice, and they wipe out my audio and redo the whole thing in Spanish. And it's really cool. So I've got Spanish and Portuguese right now, and they're going to come up with some more languages. And like I said, I've submitted my first video. So if you prefer to see videos in Spanish, probably what I'll do is once this first one is out, I'll post it as a community post, and then I'll start posting them. So maybe they'll be, I don't know, it might be more interesting for you to hear them in Spanish than English.
I think I prefer the English. I can understand it pretty well. I'm just not used to speaking it. But that way I can share them with some people.
I'm wondering how it's going to cross over, because even when I had the video processed and it came out with all the text, and some of the things I had to go in and correct some of the tests, which is understandable because the system's not perfect yet. But when the guest is talking about NDE and I say the word NDE, I just left it as capital N, capital D, capital E. I wonder how that's going to, play out in Spanish. Do they use the words NDE in Spanish?
I haven't heard. I tend to research this in English.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see it might even be like in a different, like in a different EDN, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? How sometimes Spanish, the verb is before the adjective or whatever.
It will be ECM, experiencia cercana a la muerte.
Okay, ECM. So maybe at next time when I go back and I have to work on the text, maybe I should put ECM. Is that like a common term that's known in Spanish? People call them ECMs.
I really don't know. I tend to read all of this in English.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. As I mentioned earlier with the last guest, I have a guest that's going to come out tomorrow that he has been astral traveling, out of body experiencing for like 15 years. I think he's mastered it now, and he does it from sleep paralysis. So since you appear to have an ability like it, I think you'll really enjoy it.
I learned a technique from a dream of how to separate from the body. I was dreaming and I went lucid. And generally when I go lucid, I start to float off into the air. But this time I tried to control my elevation, with my willpower to go back to the ground again. So I remember that sensation, like the feeling of controlling my altitude. So when I woke up and I was still in my bed, I tried to replicate that feeling as if I was still trying to fly. And I instantly started to separate from my body again. you go into this vibratory state, you into vibrations, and it happened twice to me. So if you ever have a dream where you are flying, try to remember the sensation of how it feels to fly, and try to apply it again when you're on the bed, and you may be able to separate from the body.
Have you ever turned around and looked at your body laying in the bed when you've done that?
Yes, yes,
Wow.
I have.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah. I have many of those where I'm, but I also have seen my cat when I know she's asleep, so I don't know if she's astral projecting too.
Oh, wow.
Because yeah.
It would be amazing if you are out of your body and she sees you out of your body.
No, this time she was asleep. If I was seeing her, she was astral projecting too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
What would be interesting is what form would she take? Would she still look like a cat? Would she look like an orb? Or would she look like, imagine if she looked like a human.
She looked like a pretty large cat, like the same but larger.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. All right. Have you ever seen have you seen any beings out there? Any other entities or other humans or anything?
No, I have not. I have I have seen places that are hard to describe, but I'm generally alone.
What do you mean these places are hard to describe?
Ooh, like they have a really, really special sensation to them, like mystical. I for example, I was in meditation, and suddenly I find myself in a garden, and I saw a butterfly, and as I was seeing the butterfly, time seemed to stop, to slow down, and that's a sensation that you don't generally experience during daily life. It's really special.
All right. Well, how often is this happening?
Well, I have a pretty serious meditation practice. So I say about every week.
Oh. A lot of people say that one thing that prohibits people from leaving their body is fear. Do you agree? And how do you overcome the fear?
I have a relevant experience to that. Once when I went lucid, I was in a lucid dream, and I tried to get answers for life or for what is reality. So I searched for people, and I found a receptionist. And I asked her, why can't I go beyond? Why can't I astral project? Why? And she told me, because you're afraid. And I woke up.
Wow, that's amazing.
I think it's true. I think we are afraid of. We have no limits, so it's scary what can come up when there's no limits to the experience. For example, do you have an inner dialogue?
I would assume we all do, right?
Some people say they don't. But well, do you think in your own voice?
Yes.
It's that. Have you ever thought about the fact that it's not necessary to think in your own voice? You can think in any voice. The only reason you tend to think in your own voice is because of inertia.
No, I never thought about that.
That's the fear. We tend to stay on the same place out of fear.
My guest that I'll be posting tomorrow night says that when we are on the other side, I guess a lot of times we still retain this physical looking form, kind of, you look humanoid or humanoid-ish, and we are lit up really bright, like bright lights. We're glowing. And so I think what he's trying to say is a lot of times when people are like having NDEs or see beings or light beings, they're really seeing other humans like us, but they're misinterpreting it as angels because the beings are so bright. But that's just because, again, that we're so bright on the other side.
I think I also have an experience of generally the light people see and seem to be attracted to in this altered state of consciousness. There's generally a lot of talk about light, and I think the light, our usual experience, can be interpreted too as a light. If you close your eyes, you see darkness, but outside that darkness, there's like nothing, like a void. And you can reinterpret that light, that darkness of your usual field of view. And that's like a light that is focusing your attention into your experience as a person. The same with the sensation of your body. If all the tactile, all the sensation of having a physical body can be reinterpreted as a light. I don't know. If you were to look at all the sensations you currently have as a light in a large infinite space of void,
Okay.
You can start to feel how bright even your everyday experiences.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Well, Leon, I need to run. I've got 3 people on the other side of this room in extra rooms waiting on me. But thank you for so much for coming and sharing with us. And don't be a stranger. Come back and visit us again.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening. And a round of applause for you. All right, that was Leon. Next is Larina Quigley. Let's bring her in. And there she is. I'll ask her to unmute. Larina.
Hi there.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. Hey, I didn't think I'd actually get on here, so I'm like, oh, I'm a little surprised.
You're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome. And where are you zooming from?
I'm here from Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, great. I have so many guests from the Phoenix, Sedona, Tucson, those 3 different areas.
Yeah.
That's great.
I put my earbuds in so that just in case my dog barks.
Oh, well, that's okay. But I think it's good that you did, because I think a lot of times the mic from here is much better than the mic on the computer.
Yeah. I'm sure you're right about that. Yeah.
Well, what do you have to share with us tonight?
Well, I have had so many experiences. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get on. What do I want to share?
Which one?
First of all, when I was a kid, I started having memories, past life memories. And I was raised in Utah, Mormon. So this wasn't even in my belief system.
Wow.
So I knew I couldn't tell anyone because it would just not be good.
Would you say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but would you say you were more, I don't know if it would be Orthodox Mormon or more, I don't know if you'd say secular, but you know what I mean? There's more traditional or less traditional?
Oh, my parents, fanatical.
Okay.
Like hardcore Mormons.
All right.
Yeah. Like can't do anything on Sunday.
But
except go to church.
but aren't the Mormons open to and accepting of at least either reincarnation or NDE? I think it's NDEs, aren't they?
NDEs, not reincarnation.
Right.
No. I grew up with a mother who's like, reincarnation is of the devil. And anyway, so I grew up hearing things like that, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell her anything. But just some of the more extraordinary experiences that I've had a lot of experiences, but when I was about 21 and not going to church anymore, I was dating some guy. I spent the night at his house, and I woke up right around dawn, like as light is filtering into the room, and there was a being standing in front of me. And this is with my eyes open. I've sat up. This being looked like Father Time, but he was all white. I could see him so clearly that I could see the filament of light that his robes were made out of. It was that clear. And he had long white hair, a beard. For years, I tried to figure out who it was, but I finally asked other people who do this kind of work who it was. I got all sorts of answers, but I met a channeler, and she said, "Oh, that sounds like Ascended Master Melchizedek." So I kind of just stuck it. It's like, okay, that's good. It must be him. Anyway, and I was doing I was getting a healing session once. This is about 12 years ago. And while I was sitting on the floor, it was Matrix Energetics. I was sitting on the floor, very kind of different type of energy healing system. And the guy was standing over here. I'm sitting on the floor. And all of a sudden I saw about 10 to 12 beings come into the room. Now, again, my eyes were open. I saw these beings walk in all around me. And they were beings of light. I mean, they were bright, shiny. Their energy filtering around them was moving like this. And there were different colors in the energy as they moved. And they were all different colors. Some were predominantly more like yellow, gold, blue, red, pink. I mean, just an amazing colors anyway. And they were definitely life size, maybe even bigger, but that I'm not sure. Anyway, so what happened is one of them stepped forward right in front of me, and we were communicating telepathically, and he said, "Do you want me to show you how to manifest?" And I said, "Yeah." Who would say no? So as I'm watching him, he all of a sudden had these bars of light around him, like 360 degrees all the way around him, these bars of light that were, a couple of feet long, a couple inches wide, all different colors. And he said, "This is how you manifest." And he started putting his hand around like this. And he said, "This is it. Like you're choosing your reality. I'm choosing it. Where is it in my field? Choose it. It's right here." Boom. And this is what he showed me. Anyway, so it's actually part of, from what I consider part of manifesting, is where is the thing that you want in your field? Feel for it. Where is it? Get it. So
have you been successful with it?
Yes, but when I'm successful with it is when I don't think about it too much, because we get really mental about things. It's about just choosing.
How do you think you got this ability to see these beings?
I can't even answer that. I've had a lot of experience seeing beings. I don't know, I was dropped on my head.
I was going to say, did you have an NDE as a kid, or is it
I
familial?
did not.
Someone in your family have the ability?
Not that I heard of. I did hear that on my grandma's side, and my dad's family, that there was that they were mediums, but I didn't hear this till like when my dad died a couple of years ago. And I have sat in on a seance. The first seance I ever sat in on, I saw a being walk in the room, a dead person, a ghost. It looked like just like a ghost. She walked into the room. She stopped in front of me. She put her head in my lap and started crying. And I got the information as she was doing that, oh, it's one of these two women over here, and this is the message. So I was just able to do it. And I didn't know that I could see dead people until that happened. And that was probably in my late 30s or so.
Are you still seeing them?
Oh, I still see things. I still see.
Does this happen spontaneously, or do you have to put yourself into a certain vibration or frequency to do it?
Both. And I do a lot of breath work now. And I've had a spontaneous bilocation when I've done breath work, and have a similar type of things where beings show up and they show me things. If you want to hear about,
sure.
I think they're kind of interesting. So one that I was doing, so I was doing some pretty intense breath work, and this one I was doing it every night. And so I was, I think, about 45 minutes that night. So pretty intense. And I sit up when I do breath work because I don't want to fall asleep. And that's what the yogis do. They don't lay down. So while I was doing this breath work, I popped out of my body, but I was still breathing. I was still doing the intense breath work. So I was definitely bilocating. So all of a sudden I was in this space. I felt like it was the void. There were two beings there. One was looked like this angelic being all in white, and one was another being who was all black. And these beings were super, super powerful. And what I heard was, you can be as good as you want to be, or you can be as bad as you want to be. And the dark one, this scared me, definitely. And then they showed me, and all of a sudden they were showing me the hologram. It's sort of like the hologram of what our spirit flows into and then projects out of and manifests from there. And what I heard was we 100% manifest or create what we believe, and that's what you experience. And they showed me the structure of the hologram, and they didn't say hologram, but they showed me what it looked like. What else? That was a couple years ago. Anyway, just one of my experiences.
Did any of them ever mention anything like we live in a simulation or not?
You know what? They didn't say that. I had the conversation with somebody about that today. And, and we were talking about, it is a projected reality. And is it a simulation? I think we are in a holographic reality. We project our consciousness through, and that's what we believe as our reality structure that we believe in is what we manifest. Absolutely. That is, so you can call it, can you call that a simulation? I think it's part of the matrix. The more you can get rid of those belief systems, the more you can create the reality that you want.
I recorded an NDE this morning, which I'm planning on publishing on Tuesday, and he said that during his life review, he was watching his life review on a screen. And then when he decided, or I guess it was decided to come back to our realm, it's like he entered the screen and then entered back into this realm. It was
That's
next
really
to his body. And I think from what I remember this morning that, that it was kind of simulation-like, but that was real interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a hologram. That's what I've seen. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Lorena, thank you so much for coming and sharing. We really appreciate you, and don't be a stranger. Come back and visit us again.
I will. I definitely will.
All right, thank you, and have a great rest of your evening.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And let me hit remove. And a big round of applause for her. All right, next up is Samsung SMS136DL. And we'll bring Samsung. All right, it's been a busy night tonight. It's great. I mean, where are we? We're at 8:17 already. The time is flying. Hello.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Great. What do you have to share with us tonight?
Well, first I just wanted to say, did everybody see the news on the lights that were over Las Vegas?
No, I have not seen
yesterday?
that. I haven't seen that. What was
Yeah,
that
you
about?
gotta look it up. You gotta look it up. It was these particular lights that were over Las Vegas just yesterday. So
Are they saying that they were UFOs?
they're good. They're titling it possible UFOs, but you know how the news is.
So could you make out ships, or you could just see lights?
It was just the lights, but it was like a formation of 4 lights, and they just literally like one of the videos that I watched earlier, because it broke through on my phone, like Google News, strange lights over Las Vegas last night. So I hit it just to see what it was, and like just a regular person was videotaping it, and that's the video that they show you. And they're just literally just hovering over Las Vegas, like not going anywhere, not moving, not coming forward, literally just hovering over. So I'm sure there'll be more news futuristically on it, because people start asking a lot of questions.
Is it possible, or did they mention anything like, could it have been drones, or were they too big to be drones?
I read all the comments, and some of the people in the comments said, it could possibly be drones. Most of the people were saying that it was Area 51 and the Air Force Base that's there, maybe doing something. But generally, you can go on, if there's like drones they would have been really big drones if these were drones, to be honest with you. Like, it wasn't like it was little tiny lights. Like, these were big lights.
Wow. Hopefully there's some YouTube videos out there of it.
Yeah, there is. There's already YouTube videos out there. So you just Google lights over Las Vegas last night, and it'll come up right away.
All right, great.
So,
do you have a cat in there with you?
I have babies.
I thought I could hear a cat.
And Mama just came in here. I'll show you the babies. Those are the babies. Can you see them?
Yeah.
They're all staring at me. And Mama's over on the side teasing them by meowing. I'm here in the room, but I'm not giving you any milky. So, but
well, what do you have to share with us tonight?
Okay, so I have it's just 2 short experiences that I wanted to share with you, but one happened in Naples, Florida, and that's where I'm from. Basically, I grew up from 15 years old on. I was actually born on the other coast, the east coast of Florida. But I had this experience, and I really don't know exactly what it was or even how to fully explain it. All I can say is I was driving down a road. I'm going to put her out.
Okay, well, it doesn't bother me.
So I was driving down a road, literally a road that I drive every single day. Had been driving and driven it, I'm talking like for 15 years. So it wasn't like I was on some strange abnormal road. And all of a sudden, like, something came over me, and all of a sudden I didn't recognize where I was at. Like, I was literally lost. Like, I'm looking and I'm just trying to, as I'm driving, I'm just trying to find something that will trigger my brain saying, okay, you're here, and where I'm from, there's like traffic lights that are every like quarter of a mile. So there's many lights. So I'm driving and I'm just waiting to get to the next traffic light just so I can see the name of the street, hoping it will trigger, where I was at. And it did happen. As soon as I got to the next traffic light, I saw that it was Goodlet Frank Road, and I was like, okay. And then instantly all my thoughts came back and I knew where I was at. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but it was almost like just all of a sudden a quick thing of like amnesia or something. I don't know.
Do you think you had lost time?
Yeah, I do think I lost time. Like I was all of a sudden, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that one. But my other situation that is similar to that, I was actually here in Colorado, and I had went to this appointment that I had to go to, which where I was at, because I would always go and hike this mountain that was over like about 2 miles up the road, like literally was hiking this mountain almost on the daily. So this was also a road that I had been driving for at least the last 2 years. Very familiar. I know exactly where I'm at. I know the whole area. And so I went to my appointment. Then I pulled out of my appointment and went to go head home, which home at that point would have been east. So I just pull out of my appointment, get on this one road and take that one road basically all the way down to close to the city where the Denver city is. So it wasn't like an abnormal thing. I all of a sudden, like, all I can say is like I came to. That's the only thing that I can say. And I ended up being 45 minutes north. Like this way was the direction that I was going. I was 45 minutes north this way and had no idea how I got there. If you know anything about Denver and the surrounding areas, you're literally stopping at traffic lights like every half a mile, like Naples, but Denver and the surrounding areas way bigger than Naples. And you know, so you got to make many stops. You got to, you know, probably do a turn. I don't even know how I got where I was at, but I was 45 minutes out of my way and I have no idea how I got there. I all of a sudden just realized, where am I? How did I get here? You know what I mean? And I was so confused. I'm like, where am I? And it's like, I don't know how I got there. I left my appointment and instantaneously it seemed like I was somewhere else, way north, a direction that I don't ever go. And I have no idea how I got there. Like, and it was 45 minutes later, I looked at my clock and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 45 minutes out of my way. Like, how did I get here? So I don't know what happened there either, but it was a very unusually weird thing that happened. It was almost like I was abducted and then all of a sudden I was dropped off. But I don't remember anything in that time frame. No stoplight.
Well,
you know?
That reminds me of a guest that I had, that he and his friend were coming home from a bar in Germany. They were like 16. And I guess in Germany, he was out playing pool and a friend, and they were coming home through the woods in Germany. And as they were walking through the woods, they saw a bright light over them, and I think they understood it was a spaceship, and then they started running. They got scared, and then they just saw a flash of light. And then maybe it flashed for a second or something, and then they just kept running and got home. But the fascinating thing when they got home was, instead of it being, I don't know, like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And their parents were really angry that they didn't believe them and thought they were out partying or doing stuff, and they got home, I don't know, 2 hours or 4 hours later than they're supposed to be. And they don't
remember in between.
They don't they don't remember anything. They just remember the flash of light. I mean, it was just a flash of light, but it was kind of instantaneously flash.
Right. So this was in midday. Like this was full bright day. You know what I mean? So I don't remember nothing. All I remember is pulling out of my appointment and going to go in the direction that I'm normally go, and then all of a sudden I went from there to 45 minutes later, completely north, like in the whole opposite direction of where I was going. And I'm like, I don't even know how I got through red lights. How did I stop at red lights? How did, you know what I mean? Like, what the heck? Right.
It sounds like to me you were abducted, but I can't say for sure, but that's what it sounds like.
Right. Yeah, it was weird. So.
All right. Well, listen, I've got to run. I've got 3 people waiting on me, and it's already 8:30. So thanks for coming and sharing with us and letting us know about the the Las Vegas lights.
All right, everybody, have a great night.
All right, have a great night. Thank
All right,
you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And a big round of applause for her. So that's pretty interesting about those Las Vegas lights. I always kind of go back to Phoenix lights because those were so famous, the Phoenix lights. But now we've got the Las Vegas lights. And we've got Trudy coming up next. Ashley Jones, thank you for becoming a silver member. I really appreciate it, and thanks for loving the show. We really appreciate you. Thank you. No. I don't think I can go back that far. There was someone else that became a bronze member, and I'm sorry for not acknowledging that, but if you're still here, thank you for becoming a bronze member. All right, we'll see what's going on with Trudy. Yeah, it was up. It's 402. That's awesome. I think earlier it was like 412 or something. So that's great. All right, we almost got her here. You're here, Trudy, but we're waiting for your audio to sync. So we'll put this for you. Oh, she's gone. Now she's back. I think she understood. All right, so it just, if you, I don't think she can even hear me. If you can hear me, sometimes it takes a moment for the audio to sync in Zoom. So here it goes. It says connecting right there. Trudy is connecting to audio. Can Jeff pull up the LA picture? I don't think I can do that. Whoever asked that. Sure, I can't do that at the same time. It would be too much of a mess with this control center. All right, hopefully it will start soon. We're still waiting. All right, so again, tomorrow's video. If you want to fill in some pieces of the puzzle about NDEs, you've got to watch tomorrow's videos because I think it will fill in some pieces of the puzzle of a man who's been astral traveling for years and all the things he's seen. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to have another NDE for you that his was a very interesting NDE. And it was kind of like he was shown a possible future as well during his NDE. And I think, let me look on this. I'm pretty sure this is going to be another fascinating one. I have a woman on Monday that I'm supposed to be recording that she claims that she dated an extraterrestrial here on Earth, a humanoid extraterrestrial. So I'm looking forward to talking to her on Monday. You're welcome, Shira. All right, what happened to Trudy? Where'd she go? We'll see if maybe she's just having trouble. This is what I'm going to do, Trudy. I'm not kicking you out. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room, and I'm going to bring up Mana, and then I'll bring you back afterwards. So please don't think I'm kicking you out. I'm just trying to keep things moving along here. Jeff, I'd love to one day talk to you about the astral projections from Andrea maybe Thompson or something. We only see part of it. Yeah, well, we'll have to figure it out. Either come up here on a Saturday or I don't know, maybe you'd work out for a full hour program. I never know. I get solicited by people wanting to be guests, and I talk to them a little bit first because I'm never really sure if it's enough to do a 1 hour or just enough to come, to work out here. Mana, are you there?
Yes.
All right. You were on, weren't you, recently?
Maybe about a month and a half ago.
Okay. Welcome back. Great to see you. What number were you?
I don't even remember.
You don't remember. Now, something's covering your camera at the top. No, look on your camera. Your camera's being occluded. There you go. That was something.
Wait a minute. It was the thing that holds the camera in place.
Give me a
This is gonna
second
be messy.
here. Where'd you go? Are you in the black?
Still here.
You're still here? Are you in the black void?
Yeah, I'm trying to fix the issue.
All right, let us know, Andrea.
Better?
Yeah. All right. Now, Mana was a guest. She is number 754. And the title of that video is She Had an Experience with the Heavenly Council on Giant Thrones. And so she's back. The thumbnail says, it's a good point. The thumbnail says cosmic transportation. And that was posted, looks like March 25th. So it's not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
So if you guys haven't seen that podcast with Mana, maybe you want to go check it out after this. And so what new stuff do you have to tell us tonight, Mana?
Well, lately I've been noticing in the news about them finding dinosaur bones in Egypt.
All right.
And I couldn't do nothing but laugh because in 2004, when I was on dialysis, I woke up with the laughter. I had so much laughter going on. And I was like, it woke me up and I couldn't stop laughing. And so I eventually had to stop to think, what am I laughing so much about? And then the spirit brought back to my remembrance of the experience I was having. Well, the spirit took me to ancient, they called it Kemet, to the during the time that the spirit took me there. And the spirit asked me a question. The spirit asked me, what is the wildest animal among you today that you are able to tame? And I said, well, they tame bears. They tame lions and tigers, you know, the type that you see in zoos and different places. Well, then the spirit says, well, if I allow you to tame the wildest beast of today, would I not be able to allow you to tame the wildest beast of the ancient of days? And I thought, and I said, okay, it makes sense to me. And then the spirit says, people are constantly asking, how did they build the pyramid? And they have not come up with the conclusion. So the spirit showed me that they was able to tame the dinosaurs, especially the ones that had wings. Now keep in mind, the divine spirit is talking to an inner child spirit within me. And so the architects, the mathematicians were the ones who were able to be particular in the shape and the cutting and the measurements. But when it came time to carry those great big tons of, I forgot what type of rocks that they said they were, but those rocks, then the tamed dinosaurs would actually lift them and carry them to their places. So naturally, I was laughing and cracking up because I said, are you talking about like the Flintstones? I said, are you talking about the Flintstones? And the spirit laughed at me and they said, yes. I kept it from the wise and the prudent, and I'm revealing it unto babes. Everything that I do to you, for you, and through you is simplicity. And I said, so when I woke up, and maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later, I just had this feeling that I need to buy a poster that has like different type of dinosaurs and where their parts were being found, and out of so in what they call Africa, there's like about, okay, so I can't actually pronounce the names, but one of them, it looked like Brontosaurus, found in Tanzania, in Algeria. Then there's another one called such a Minmusis. I'm not but anyway, they were found in Nigeria. The ones with the wings. Let's see where to go. Oh, I should have just marked them. But you can, people can order this one, World of Dinosaurs. Can you see it? And just like I said, just recently, they found dinosaur bones in what they call Egypt today. And so when I heard this, the spirit just spoke through me and said, it's time to share what I showed you. And I was like, wow. So I've been looking for this because I've had this since 2004. And so when I heard just a few days ago that they found these dinosaurs, I was like, oh my goodness. And the spirit said, yes, this time. That's one of the things I wanted to share. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted it because there was some noise in there. The only thing that, and I'm wondering if you asked Spirit, because dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. So are the pyramids that old, or did they even live?
Now that they found these dinosaur bones, they're actually saying that it appears that this can change everything about what they call Egypt today. And obviously those, what they call the pyramids and the pyramids, what they call the Great Pyramid is not the actual Great Pyramid, because it's not supposed to have a capstone, because that was actually removed when they removed the divine feminine goddess, and that can only be replaced when she's replaced back in her rightful place with her wisdom. But the one that they use is the Giza plateau that still has the capstone. Yeah, but just recently they said that these pyramids are a lot older than they have expected it to be. And when I find the link, I'll text it to you so you can verify it for yourself, or you can just Google it, because it's been all over the news for the past couple of days.
Are they saying that aliens tamed the dinosaurs?
No, we did.
We did.
Yes, that's the reason why the spirit asked me, what type of wild animals are you capable of taming today? It didn't ask me what type of alien. The spirit says, what kind of animal can you tame today? And so I answered it. And then the spirit says, well, would you not think that I would give you the same opportunity and ability for the ancient of days, the animals back in the day? And I was like, yeah, because the divine spirit doesn't change. The spirit is truth. So the truth changes things, but the truth itself changes not.
You know, when you were first speaking about the wildest animal or beast on the planet, my first thought was humans may be the wildest animal on the planet.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I really don't never actually call animals beasts, because when it comes to a mindset of warmongering and their minds about constant killing and the things that people are going through suffering, that's the beastly mind. And in all actuality, that would be a degrading phrase to an animal, what they do by nature. But when mankind decides that he wants to control something, he has no limitations.
Someone posted in the chat, which I thought's interesting, that Egypt was ancient even to Plato. Ancient Plato from the Greek. So maybe, you know, and I do already think that it's much older than they really think it is, but I never put back to millions of years ago.
Yeah, it's different when you have newcomers trying to define something, because in all actuality, when you have the power to define, you also have the power to control. And when you have the power to control because you want to be in control, then whatever it is that you teach, and you create a philosophy or a religion, indoctrination, whatever the case may be, it has to fit the content for their intent, not for our own ability to become sovereign and free and have the liberties that we were actually given at birth. So the things that are happening and the people, the things that we're experiencing and seeing, there's so much more that the Spirit has revealed to me that is getting ready to happen. But you know how some people, they face it by saying it'll get worse before it gets better. Most cultures, indigenous cultures like mine, when you have to go through a rites of passage, and the Divine Spirit told me that this is the cosmic garden, and everything in it, if you remove mankind, is beauty, is life-giving, is life-sustaining. And the only time there's life reclaiming is for reproduction, right? So when you put a mindset of somebody who wants to take control of something that they didn't create or plant, and then put a label on it, and then want to distribute it to the people who they choose feel like are worthy to receive it, and you hold back from the indigenous people from not being able to have what they are naturally born to have, you know, in their freedom. These are the things that happen, but it takes more time to go into the depths of the things that the Spirit revealed to me. But I wanted you to actually ask me questions instead of me going on and on like the first time. I was so excited.
Oh, that's okay. Mana, I'm going to have to run. I've got people waiting on me. But if you guys want, go check out the podcast that we did together. And what was that? 750 something, I think. I saw it earlier. I put it down. Did I say it was?
Should I put the link?
Yeah, Mara's gonna put the link for us in the description. All right, so thanks again, Mana. Thanks for stopping by, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You do the same.
All right, bye-bye. And a big round of applause for Mana. All right, we've got Trudy, Stephen Cake, and John Scott up. First, we'll get to Trudy. And now Trudy was just on, and I told her I would bring her back on. Let's see if we can get it working this time. Because we had her, then we lost her, but we never got her audio. So she's there, and we're waiting again for her audio to connect. So we'll see. Hopefully it will connect this time. and I'll let Trudy know what's happening. I'll put my sign back up, waiting for audio to sync. It looks like Trudy's an artist. It looks like we can see paintings on the wall. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to get it to join. And let's see, while we're waiting, let's see what's up. Let's see what's on my schedule. As I said, I'm going to be speaking with somebody who dated an alien on Monday. On Tuesday, I have an NDE to record. On Wednesday, I have an NDE. Thursday, an NDE. And on Saturday, an NDE. And on Friday, I believe it's somebody who's abducted or some kind of UFO contact. So for those of you who love NDEs, this is going to be an NDE-packed week. And we're still waiting. It just happens sometimes that... Oh, here we go. Trudy is connecting to audio. Hopefully it's going to connect and we'll be good to go. Sometimes when it... Trudy.
Hi.
You made it. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Are you an artist?
Yes, I am.
I was looking at some of your paintings on the wall. They look interesting.
Oh, wait. I'm going to turn this other video. I'm sorry.
That's okay,
I'm kind of
yeah.
working on the blind here.
That's all right, yeah.
Here I am.
So I was looking at some of the paintings on your wall while we were waiting for you. They looked interesting.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about.
All right. Well, first of all, where are you zooming from?
I'm zooming from Washington State.
What part?
Spokane, Washington.
I literally recorded a podcast this week with a man from Spokane.
Really?
Yeah, his name is Eldon Taylor. Does that name sound familiar? He's also on the radio.
No.
He was on the radio.
I'm kind of not into the scene here.
All right. Well, I think he was actually on talk radio out of Seattle. And I'd probably be posting it sometime next week, maybe next Saturday. But that's fascinating that I got another guest from Spokane. All right. So what do you have to share with us?
Well, hey, I've been wanting to, I'm an artist,
Mm-hmm.
and I basically kind of isolate my artwork, and I thought, I'm going to have to get it out there because, for some reason, when I paint, it paints things that really happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to tell you this.
Wait, one second.
Story.
1 second. Are you saying you paint it first and then it happens in the future?
Well, I'm not sure how it works, but I can give you an example.
All right.
Actually, it's after this one time it was after, but a lot of times they paint things and they come in before it happens. Like, since the James Webb telescope came out, I do a lot of space paintings.
Cool.
And I've done some paintings that actually, then I see them later, and I used to astro travel all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all do, but I think that's where some of my paintings of space come from, because just like, for instance, the, excuse me, it's called the Cartwheel Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
I did a painting of it before they ever even discovered it,
That's amazing.
And so, but my example that I wanted to tell you today is that the first time I visited Hawaii is because my dad lived there. And I went with several other people and I wanted to paint, and just set up a easel and paint. But it just didn't happen that way because everybody wanted to just go around the whole island. This was on the island of Maui this time. And I saw this church on the Hana side, and it was just so beautiful. There was nothing on the whole coast except for this one church. And it was just so beautiful. And I did a painting of it. I could show you in a second. But let me tell you the story first, then I'll show you the painting. But the thing is, I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. I'm going to take as many pictures. And it just really called out to me. I took all these pictures, moved back to Spokane, and then I eventually moved to Hawaii because my dad lived there in Kona, Hawaii. And I started painting, and I did a mural on somebody's wall. And during that mural, there was a monkey that just showed up in the painting. I didn't even try to paint it. It was like a perfect chimpanzee monkey. It was just crazy. And then if you stood back like 6 feet or more, you would see an old man. You couldn't even see the monkey. I thought, well, that's really weird.
Oh.
And the people that lived there in the home that I was doing their painting, they thought, I showed him and he goes, oh my God. He goes, you're right. He stood back, it's an old man. But if you walk closer, you could see a perfect chimpanzee. And so I thought, that's so weird. And so I did a few other murals and paintings. And every time I did a painting of that same particular area on the Hana side of Maui, a monkey would always show up. And I thought, that's really weird. So I started asking around, and saying, do you guys, are there monkeys? Is there a zoo on Maui? Are there monkeys in the zoo? Because I knew there was something, And everybody says, oh no, there's no zoo. We have no monkeys here. And I asked around for almost 2 years because it just bugged me so much. And finally someone says, oh yeah, Charles Lindbergh. He's buried here with his monkeys. And I thought, no way, no way. Charles Lindbergh is actually literally buried in Kona, Hawaii.
Wow, I didn't know
in this
that.
place where I did the painting, and I picked up on it, and it kept showing up in my paintings.
That's amazing.
I thought, oh my goodness, people have always showed up in my paintings. And even when we had critiques in my art classes, people would say, oh, I see a face in her painting. Everybody else would go, oh, I see it too. And I'm thinking, really, where? But they've always showed up in my paintings. And now I'm kind of finally getting to the point where I'm thinking, okay, fine. There's something to it. And it happens all the time. I just look in the paint. And I know it's really strange. And I would love to hear some feedback from some other people, because when I paint stuff either before it happens or after. But it's just, this is almost proof. The Charles Lindbergh thing. So I did some research on it, and I thought, I couldn't believe it, but I did research. Come to find out, Charles Lindbergh is actually buried at that same church where I took the photos that I couldn't paint, and I painted it later.
Well,
and there he is, buried with Tom or Joe, I can't remember his name, and his monkeys.
do you have the painting of it so we can see it?
Yes, I do. Let me show you. Let me turn this around.
Now, while you're getting that ready, we have another painter in line to be coming up. 2 guests after you, John Scott, who's also a professional painter. So it'll be interesting to get his take on what you're saying.
Well, I'm afraid to push any buttons. I'm afraid that I'll lose you. So I'm just
All right, don't push anything.
And hopefully you'll be able to see it.
Now that looks like
painting?
Hawaii, yes.
It is, but can you see my finger?
No.
Well, Charles Lindbergh is buried right back here. Can you see that?
I don't see where you're pointing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm probably gonna. I don't know.
That's okay. What if you put that thing down and pick up the painting?
Let's see. I could do it that way. Let's see.
There you go.
Charles Lindbergh is buried in the backyard of this church. I don't know if you can see it or not.
I'm not sure where you're pointing to, but he would be there behind the church.
Yes, behind the church. Can you see where that little?
There's like a black thing on the ground or something.
Yes, in between that rock fence.
So when you were there painting, you were saying while you were painting, you saw monkeys, and then you saw him while you were there visiting.
Let me turn this up. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Okay, go ahead.
Now you're saying that while you were in the act of painting, that is when you saw the monkeys and Lindbergh?
No, you could see them. I wish I would have been more prepared. I really didn't plan on being here tonight. But I did this huge mural on this guy's wall, and it was in Hawaii. And when you open the door, there's a stairway, And so I made it to where there was, I painted the same scene up at church and the place called Seven Sacred Pools, which is right nearby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really not a sacred place. It's a long story. But anyway, so anytime I painted that particular area, monkeys would show up in the painting. It's not that I could see them and they would go away.
You're saying that you'd be painting monkeys and not realize that you're painting them?
Yes, exactly.
But were there...
I get really busy, and I'm just like, I was even painting with my hands. I was using this sculpture paint, you know, it's real thick and you can just blob it on the walls, you know. As a matter of fact, when I was doing that same painting, this picture showed up of this guy that was just, I can't even describe him. He was a dark guy and he had kind of an afro-like, and turns out the woman who was on vacation, the wife of this husband I was doing the mural for, was on vacation. When she came back, she goes, "Oh my God, that's my favorite picture. I've been carrying this around for years and years and years." And so it showed up in the painting. And so it seems weird that I think about people, and if I think about them, or just I astral traveled since I was maybe 5 years old, you know. And so I think I've seen a lot of places out there that actually show up in my paintings, and people too, because people have always showed up in my paintings.
Do you think it's possible that you're channeling while you're painting?
I just have been trying to, you know, you'd think I'd figure this out earlier, but, you know, life gets in the way. You raise your kids and your grandkids, and, you know, it's a fact that stuff, I think I somehow, I don't know if I channel or or if it's because I've been there, because I've always had dreams of things that happened before they happen. And plus I've had a lot of weird experiences, like with UFOs and orbs and that kind of thing.
Wow. Do you paint those?
Well, I did paint one. Let's see.
An orb or a UFO?
Yes, I've seen a triangle craft.
I mean, which one did you paint? Did you paint
I did paint this one. I painted the triangle craft. I don't know if I can show you, because I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah, I can see it. There's 3 of them, right?
Yes.
That's a real interesting painting. It's kind of
But
abstract
actually,
in a way.
I call it the triangle. See?
You have the woman, looks like you have an eye, and then you have 3 UFOs.
Yes, and the pyramids.
I can't...
Kind of all goes together. You know, all my life, I've never ever bought one. I don't know, the Ankh symbol. I've never ever paid for one, but I've always had one all my life. I've always been given one. And every time I lose one, I get given another one. So I don't know, there's something about
maybe
the Ankh symbol.
I was going to say, maybe you have a connection to Egypt.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. We probably all do. We've probably all been everything you can imagine in life, you know.
Well, truly,
but
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've got to get running. I've got like 3 people in the waiting room, and I just wanted to thank you for coming and sharing with us.
I did want to tell you a story about an orb if I have 2 seconds.
Okay, go.
Orb. This is a really strange experience, Jeff. This is when I was in Hawaii and I saw UFOs all the time. That's where I saw that triangle craft. And I would go to these warehouses and I would let my dog run, because I would go like around 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, because I worked all day, worked all night, you know, all the time. So I barely had time. I had my own business doing graphics on boats and yachts in Hawaii. And so I'd let my dog run up and down these warehouses. And when I was there, that's where I saw the triangle craft. But another time I also saw these orbs coming down from the sky. There was rows and rows and rows, and they're all going at like at this kind of angle. I don't know if you call it a 45-degree angle. Anyway, there was like the green orbs and purple orbs. There were only 2 colors, and they were like neon lit up, and they were just going straight into the earth like it was nothing. Like they were just flying through the air, but they were going into the earth at that speed. And when I saw them, I was going, "Oh my God, that's so amazing!" Because I had so many, what do you call it?
Were they going into the earth or going into the water?
They were going into the earth.
Okay.
I was across the street from the harbor in this little warehouse district, and they were going into the grass. There was just this one little patch of grass, you know, at the end of the warehouses, you know, in the back of the warehouses, there was grass. In between it was pavement, and they're going into the grass, and they're going at an angle like they were raining. And they were about as big as a mango, a large, really large mango, but they were shaped just like a mango. Because it was in Hawaii, so that's what I attribute it to. So anyway, they were all in a row in formation. And so I was looking at it, I was thinking, wow, it's crazy. And then all of a sudden, a green orb, the green orbs are going to the ground. The purple orb came right at me, and I thought, oh my God, he wants to go through me. And I thought, no. I said no really loud, because who knows what that is, you know. I thought, who knows, you know. So I said no, and it respected my opinion. And when it respected my wishes, it got back in formation. It went back into the earth, and they kept going back in the earth. And I told a friend about it. He's a very spiritual friend in Hawaii. He's got this huge compound up on this very spiritual mountain. And I told him, and he goes, well, Trudy, why didn't you let it go through you? And I said, well, I didn't know what it was. And he goes, well, you could always do a prayer of protection. And I thought, okay. And I thought, well, you know, it's never going to happen again anyway, you know. So the very next week I went out. This was around midnight, because I was working day and night. So that's the time I could walk my dog and let him run around. I wouldn't have to worry about him getting in fights with other dogs or hooking up with people, whatever. So I'd let him run the warehouses. 1 week later, exact same thing happened again. Here come these orbs raining down. They were huge. They were going through the earth like it was nothing, like it was air. And so this time I thought, okay, I'm going to let it go through me, because my friend told me, he goes, let it go through you and do a prayer of protection. And I said, okay. As I go into the darkness, surrounded by the throne, well, anyway, I did a prayer. So because the orb, just like last time, it cut loose out of formation. It went right towards me. And this time I said, okay. And I let it go right through me. And then it got back in formation and started going back into the earth. It was the craziest thing.
Wow, it's cool.
Just did I tell you?
It's cool. Trudy, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. I'm glad we got it to work out, and don't be a stranger. Come back and visit us sometime.
I will. I'll do that. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, next up is Stephen Cachet. That looks like, yeah. I presume it's Mr. Cake, but every time, the last couple times, he retypes his name in differently. So we'll see what he's up to, if it's him. Last week he was here and he showed us some orbs. He was dancing and juggling with these orbs. We'll see what is he up to?
There's the Phoenix lights.
There's the Las Vegas lights.
Purple orbs are traveling around, darling. Don't hurt yourself while you're juggling there, Stephen.
That looks cool.
Yeah, so they came out of the ground, they came out of the sky. You delivered them to my house. I knocked on the door. Xenu was there. Xenu, we don't like him, folks. I don't know. I like to tell people that, you know, hey, I like juggling. And so during my enlightenment, they just made it easier for me to do things. Catching, throwing. You want the lights on, or is this fine?
That's fine. Actually, it looks cool. It's different.
It's very cool, you know. Back in the 60s, you know, we used to do a lot of cool stuff back then, too.
So what you been up to lately, Stephen? What's new with your walks and talks videos?
Well, yeah, I just it's easier for me to do things now. So I got a phone. I didn't have an iPhone, didn't have a smartphone. Didn't really talk to too much people. I liked going outside, doing things. They just made it so I can do a little bit more, but struggling. So I've been filing complaints against people because other people are allowed to harm me. But if I say that, I have a voice now.
That's great.
Yeah, so if I say they're allowed to harm me, they say, no, they're not allowed. They're just doing it, and no one cares they're doing it. So they're correcting my language. If I say I'm wasting my life, they say, no, you're just not doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
So if I want to become a famous Hollywood actor, like Sean Connery, and Sean Connery once, he taught me some great advice. He said, when you see a woman, make sure to give her a slap for me. That's what yeah, so I respect people, but I like joking too. So I'm juggling, joking. I've been writing down jokes for comedy clubs, but not too great where I live. Most of
I think it would be great if you give, like amateur night a shot.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Oh, you did? You went?
Yeah, Steven. So I said I'm very naughty on the stage. I say I call them the mind jackers. The mind jackers, folks, they take me over. It's like I say, it's not just me anymore. It's like, it's not an entity, but it seems like an entity. I try to explain to people, I said, like, there's this greater mind and that no one's in control of it. And they just do things to help people. Like I beg God to tell me what to do. And Mary started speaking to me. And so Mary has her ways of doing things. So I said, God's ways are not our ways. And the Father would teach me to quickly solve things, like MacGyvering stuff, like, oh, you got to fix this real quick, just on the spot. And then I said, like, Jesus was like your best friend. But that's my belief system. So like, we all have our own personalized belief system. Like, there's no like official belief system. It's like people believe what they believe.
Yeah. And you either make up your own beliefs or follow somebody else's, right?
Yes, you can make up your own beliefs. I was looking for the truth. That's what I said. So I look and watch as many videos as I can. Read, I didn't read a lot of books, but I was trying to find the truth and I called square the circles. Like, how does, because even in Christianity, they have debates, is hell eternal or not? And so in my enlightenment, they showed me that it was more like a holding pen until the game got over. So it was like we're in a game world, and they were rule breakers, and people, like, some people broke rules, and then after they died, they would beg God to not go into hell. So they'd come back and they'd have to do some kind of purpose. Like psychics were people that did bad stuff in a past life, and so they begged God to come back. That was in my beliefs during the Enlightenment. Yeah.
But you don't believe that anymore, right?
Holiday partner. See, now I just believe that there's a greater mind, and that we're just living our lives, and that's about it. But there's all these beliefs and phenomena, like spirits moving. I thought spirits were moving me, but it's like, that's a belief. Something is happening. We don't know what it is.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think you have a great point that I took a class one time, and basically there's no meaning to life. It's just whatever you make it mean. It's kind of similar.
There's what we want in life. It's like we want things. So why should we just, like I said, I don't want to sit in a room and suffer. Like, I want to enjoy life. And we don't know why we're here and stuff like that. I mean, we believe, like, I thought my spirit guide said I was on my last life, because I asked my spirit guide to talk to me, and it was like a shaking in my head. And then like a voice that said, her name was Bina. So it's like, so all this phenomena now, but I don't, that didn't vibe with other belief systems. It didn't vibe with Christianity, or I was in this Dr. Hawkins kinesiology. He said there are no spirit guides. So like see the way my mind works, I go like, how do you square these circles? Because some people say, oh, this is wrong, this is right. And it's like, I'm like trying to figure it out. So I'm just begging God, just, tell me. Because I can't figure it out. And that's what they told me. They said, no one can figure this out. No one will figure it out.
Well, I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, maybe we'll never know all the answers.
Of course not. But hey, we can all enjoy life, can't we?
Right. What about just one of the main messages is just to be kind to everybody.
I think so. Life is better that way. Yeah. And that's one thing. That's one of the lessons they taught me. They said, this person has never harmed you. So, because there's people that were harming me, and then I was upset that no one was doing anything about it. So one of the lessons they taught me was, they said I was being too nice to bugs, little creatures, and not enough to people. They said, be nicer to people. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Are you still going places and chatting with people?
a little bit. I mean, obviously I'd like to do more, but it's more about the pain and the suffering from the teeth filing and the infections, and then sleep problems.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to work it out, but it's hard because the way our society works is that it seems like there's help for some problems, because I'll watch the news and they'll say this guy's getting a $19 million settlement for pain and suffering. I go, I've had 18 years of pain and suffering. I haven't got a penny.
Mhm.
Yeah, other than $100 a month from government or something, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried calling the George Norrie show.
Oh, you did? That'd be amazing.
They asked me, "Can you hold?" And I held for an hour, and the show they just started playing music at the end. I said, "I don't think I'm getting on there."
Yeah, that
So
would
that's
be.
what, yeah, that's what you should do. Just say, "Can you hold?" And then just play.
Put everybody. Well, the thing is, everybody sees who's on hold. When I just click this button here, you see who's on hold.
Yeah, that's why I love coming on here, because it's like you have a great energy.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
we
why,
have a great people that come here, and people, it's like a community that's here.
that's right, partner.
And and you are well loved here. The crowd loves you.
And I love them too, and I'm so thankful for all their comments and whatnot. Like all and thoughts and prayers.
And there's
'cause
usually.
I know people aren't in to help me. I know that. But the people in positions, it's like I can only do so much on my end. So, but I can channel the orbs, darling. I love them. I love them. Sleep with them. Sometimes I sleep on my. This is how insane I am. Sometimes I'll just sleep on my juggling balls, not because I just have them on my bed and I lay down, and then during the night I'm like, oh, I'm on something here. It's like I take them everywhere I go. It's like, are you a juggler? I don't know. Maybe I just bring my balls everywhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm juggling I juggle on a podcast. You think
have you ever taken those out at night and given juggling performances out at night for people with the orbs? That would be pretty cool.
It's better. People are going to be down at those parks. So, yeah. And so I say, this is one thing, because I had a kind of a negative self-talk. So I'd say, oh, I'm bothering people, annoying people. And the voice would say, or, God would say, no, you're not bothering them. Because I was so critical and about that. And so they have to correct me a lot on that. We all need correction, though, that loving correction, I think. That you are loved. Yeah, you are loved. And that there should be a loving voice in your life. Even if you're not hearing God or whoever, I wish everyone could hear the voice.
I have there's a couple messages for you in the chat. One of them is "Love you, Stephen," and another one that says, "Stephen, you need to add a bandana."
Bandana. That's one thing they told me in the Enlightenment. They said, "Don't wear this." All right, don't wear it. So I do some juggling videos where I'm wearing it.
There you go. Well, Stephen, I've got to do what I got to do, brother. I have people waiting on me.
You must, Jeff. This is a message for JeffMara. I love you so much. You are your future. I found a good future for you. You will do things that are very good in this world. Nice to have you. Thank you. All right. I love you, Ron. Have a great night.
All right. We love you, Stephen. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Leslie Kings, thank you for that super thanks. I appreciate it. And after tonight, if you want to have a place to go hang out, Leslie Kings will be channeling live music for you so you can keep the paranormal party going. Alrighty. Wow. John, can you hear me?
Yes, mate. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Where are you? At the zoo or what?
Jesus, there's a big polar bear behind me. Okay, that's cool.
Are there polar bears in Australia?
Well, a little bit further south. No, there's not. They're up the northern.
And maybe in Antarctica. I never thought about that. How far are you guys from Antarctica?
Oh, just down the road,
Just a pop over the pond? And
just down the road,
Just down the road.
A little bit down that way. No, we don't have polar bears. yes, in the south.
Can you see them out your window?
Well, there's a lady living across the way, and I'm thinking that no, she's a bit on the hairy side. No, no.
Well,
no, that's hairy, hairy.
Did you catch the conversation I had with the painter earlier, Trudy?
No, but I was one before that. The African American lady was.
I think
about...
she's American, but I think she's originally from Jamaica. Mana Moshe.
Okay, Jamaican. Yeah, big Rastafarian belief system over there.
Yes.
Which is interesting once you go into the history of that.
Right. We talked about that, and I had 2 Jamaican guests in a row, and I used to actually go to school with a Jamaican man, and I love he used to tell me a little bit about the Rasta language, and I love how they say, instead of them saying I understand, they say I overstand.
Why is that?
Because you're on top of it. Why would you be beneath something when you finally understand it? Why be under? It's better to be over it.
Right.
I thought that was
a visual link to the
yeah, I thought that was genius. We were talking about I and I. Do you know, have you ever heard the expression I and I?
I hear them saying it all the time, I and I. And
I think it's about the part of God in me recognizes the part of God in you.
Yeah, well,
it's something to that, and I'm probably mistranslating it, but it's fascinating.
No, look, there's a lot in language because I was delving into that language aspect for quite some time after my NDE, and a lot of oddly enough, a lot of Kemet work, the African nation, Kemet people, a lot of language from Africa is sprinkled throughout every language group on the planet. A lot of people don't know that, but I've got a professor of linguistics that I dialogue with quite often, and we discuss this this connection of language. I mean, I don't like the word channeling, but I was getting a lot of this kind of information post NDE when I was a recluse for 30 years. And
are you saying that you were channeling another being, or you were getting it from your higher self?
Well, that's another divergence into how do you define higher self as to higher being, because the levels of consciousness are infinite. So if people think they're talking to their higher self, yeah, sure, maybe that's so for them. Some people will talk to extraterrestrials and they might have, access to another realm that your higher self at your level of evolution is not ready to access yet. So it's all about spiritual evolution. And so a lot of people have said, well, we're all equal. Yes, if you're God, from God's perspective, we're all equal. But down here, there is definitely a growth pattern, and there's an incremental growth pattern because human consciousness can't cope with the infinite. It's impossible. It's almost impossible. We can experience it. Yes, I experienced it, but it took me 30 years to just collate it and put it into some sort of meaningful dialogue. I mean, it sent me mad. Like I was going bonkers for 10 years because you had all of this influx of new knowledge that can't be taught to you. It's not like your school teacher is going to teach you this stuff. This is the real deal. You're in university consciousness, and you're being taught kindergarten consciousness. And so there's a huge difference between, the levels, the augmented levels of higher self and expanded consciousness. Now, so what I can say is if you've had an NDE, generally, what happens is there's a residual echo or a residual link that's permanently left open to that realm that you or one has reached, okay? And like the information I get was relevant to what I needed to know back then. And so as I put all the jigsaw pieces together down here, then I thought, okay, that's starting to make sense. And when that lady from Jamaica said that the Great Pyramid was a lot older than 5,000 years, and I've put that in my book. You haven't read my book, but I was shown that it was up to 450,000 years old. That's the Great Pyramid, not the other ones. The other ones were built after, and anthropologists keep on saying erroneously, and I don't care what they say, but I do listen to the argument, and they're 180 degrees back the front, 180 degrees in the wrong direction. And they keep saying that the older pyramids, which are more decayed, somehow we got better at engineering, and we got better and better and better until we finally built the Great Pyramid on where it's standing on Giza Plateau now. And they attributed it to Khufu. Now, Khufu was apparently alive in 2750 BC or something, or 2570 BC. I get the numbers mixed up, which is approximately 5,000 years old. Now, one of the anomalies with the problem with the building, people say, oh, ramps and dinosaurs. Well, they could have tamed dinosaurs, because I never, during my NDE, I asked about the pyramids specifically, because I wanted to know something that I could not have possibly known. And they showed me the time frame, and they cycled through the precession of equinox nearly 20 times. Now, a precession of equinox is 2,160 years. Now, times that by 20, do the math, and it ends up around 435,000. These are staggering time frames. And I was shown that the Great Pyramid was surrounded by ocean, by the ocean. It was half of it was underwater. So how in hell are you going to get dinosaurs floating blocks of water to something that's under the water? We're dealing with something that, and to prove this, I did a doorway analysis on the three Great Pyramids, Khufu's, Khafre's, and the third one, Menkaure. These are all latter attributes to Islamic names. Now, the doorway on the Great Pyramid is 17.4, 17.5 meters above the ground. Hasn't anyone wondered why they put a doorway so high up the wall? It's because they were floating across in sacred boats. And they used to use mirror imagery, where the Great Pyramid was reflected in the still waters of the night when they went across, and it formed a great big diamond. Now, that diamond shape, which was formed out of two tetrads, that they're equilateral triangles, you've got the pyramid is the upper one, which is the masculine aspect, and you've got the lower tetrad, which is the feminine. And what was happening is, it's called the fish's mouth. The fish's mouth. You were entering the fish's mouth. Now, a lot of people would say, well, what the hell does all of that mean? Well, the Pope wears the papal cap, is shaped like, some people say it's from Dagon, the ancient Dagon high priest of a fish's mouth.
Right.
Well, they're wearing all the vestments of the initiates, but they never went through the rites. They never went through them. And of course, the inner rites, it was definitely an initiate chamber. And this thing was so sophisticated, people have no idea. And this is why, when I put it in my book, it was for me, even for me, to absorb the profundity of this. It's a machine designed for specific people. And I said, well, what was it used for? And they said it was used to communicate with extraterrestrials throughout the universe. And this is a big bone of contention, because you've got Orthodox religions insisting that extraterrestrials are demons and negative. And you've got only a handful of people who are saying they're positive. Get real. I mean, if these things can travel multiple light barriers in hours, their technology is so far advanced that we can't even comprehend it.
Right.
They could destroy us in seconds. So why haven't they?
Yeah.
It just keeps on opening a can of worms. So when I started to really look at the evidence based of the Great Pyramid, of course, the capstone was removed, but the capstone may not have been the actual capstone. I was told it was crystal, but it may have been the outer layer of limestone blocks. Now, a lot of people don't know, when you really study the Great Pyramid, it's got 8 sides, not 4. And each facet in each cardinal direction is slightly indented, probably about half a meter indented. You can only see it during a particular time of the year, during the equinox or the solstice, when the shadow hits, and you can actually see the slight indentation of the inner stone blocks, not the outer ones, because they've been removed. They were removed hundreds and hundreds of years ago to line the palaces of Cairo. you know, they were shattered and broken off. Now, but when they put the limestone blocks on, perfectly smooth. So you're dealing with engineering, feats of engineering that even today are beyond comprehension. I heard through one guy's podcast, he said that the deviation, right, from the base of the pyramid to the capstone to the very pinnacle is less than 2.5 centimeters. That's the deviation, right? Now, we can't even do that today with a theodolite. Well, that's laser technology. Another aspect to it is that you just keep going into the math, and it's incredible. And you think, why would they have such sophisticated math, Fibonacci, pi, or everything for a king who just happens to have died, you know, and he only had 20 years to apparently build this enormous structure of 3 million stones, some of them over 50 to 70 ton. How do you think they're going to move these 70-ton stone blocks, Jeff?
So I guess you're saying that they didn't cut them with tools made of bronze.
Well, any engineer, and I've spoken to engineers, sophisticated engineers, and they're saying no, it's impossible. And they've got evidence. They've got cuts in some of the stones there, and some of them have been quarried 900 kilometres away. So that means they would have had to build boats. I did a logistical breakdown, actually, and I compared it to the Sydney Harbour Bridge build, which took approximately the same time. We had electricity, the wheel, cranes, and I compared the tonnage just for fun. I did all of this for fun, right? And it's like the manpower needed to build the Harbour Bridge. It was in tens and hundreds of thousands of people with collective evolutionary scientific knowledge. And you're telling me that I worked it out, you would have had millions of people living on Giza Plateau. Even if it was above the water, you would have to have millions of people living on the plateau, families, food, farmers. And you've got to remember, this place is flooded, and it was still flooded every year with the Nile for 3 months of the year. So how did they clean? Doesn't make sense. So I wrote a whole statistical breakdown of the doorways, and this is when it starts to get interesting. Yeah.
Have you ever considered, I know you covered in your book God's Mountain, but have you ever, but that book also talks about your NDE and other things, right?
Yes, correct.
Have you ever just considered writing another book only about the pyramids and just making it really detailed about the pyramids?
Well, I actually did. And the thing is, I know ET's helped us build it. You'll never budge me on that till the day I die. ET's helped us build it. They knew our psychic constitution back the front. They knew our fullest potential, and not everyone has that full potential, okay? Only a certain few had that potential. Basically, it was a telephone to God. I was told directly that it was a particle accelerator. Now, I didn't even know what a particle accelerator was. And what was accelerating? Well, the soul. And the soul was accelerating faster than the speed of light. Now, we only figured out the dimensions for speed of light, maybe less than 100 years ago. Albert Einstein worked with his theory of relativity. They already knew it. And I'm talking about everyone, just a handful of people. So there was an interface with ETs. And so when I hear, say, for example, Graham Hancock talking about his latest rap is about the Younger Dryas period and a comet smacking into the planet. Well, in case people haven't realized, when a comet hits the planet, you get tectonic displacement, huge tectonic displacement. The first argument I would say, well, you think that a comet hit, therefore that's what destroyed Egypt. Well, if that were the case, then all the internal star shafts wouldn't align up to the ancient stars. And those ancient stars that line up are Alnitak and Sirius. Now, those two stars, respectively, are embedded deeply within Egyptian mysticism, the occult, as Osiris and Isis. Isis is Sirius, and Osiris is Alnitak, which is one of the stars in Orion's belt. Yeah. So, if a comet had have hit, those stars wouldn't align up. So they used sophisticated Skylab computer to line up, and they said, "Well, they hit those particular stars. How interesting." So.
Go ahead.
I can't believe the comet theory. I just can't believe the comet theory because the star shafts wouldn't align up to the ancient Egyptian mythology and their ancient knowledge. Do you get what I'm saying? The logic behind that? Yeah.
I'm going to change subjects with you, and I want to get your take on this. And a lot of guests recently are talking about that what we live in this realm is a simulation. What are your thoughts?
I think that's again another red herring, personally. And the reasons I say that, as long as you're distracted from who you really are, then that's illusory at best, delusional at worst. Now, if everyone says, oh, we're in a simulation, well, how do you get out of that simulation? Who's got the rules? Who's imposing the rules of the simulation? What are the rules? How do you break them? How do you bend them? See, a lot of people don't realize that whilst you're listening to someone telling you how to live your life, then you're not living your life according to what you're meant to be doing, according to your divine plan. When you come in, you're planted with a particular set of tasks to perform. Now, they may not be to fully become enlightened in one life. Not everyone's here to be enlightened, and some people have talked about non-participating characters and all of this. The danger with that is saying that people who don't have souls or NPCs that don't have a path, then what happens is that slides the slippery slope to, well, they're not really human. We can do away with them. And this is what happened with Adolf Hitler and the Jews and things like that. No, everybody has a purpose. Absolutely, everyone has a soul. Some might just be to have a child. Some might just be to experience this density and move on to another incarnation. I was an atheist. I didn't believe in reincarnation. I'm now 100% sure. There is no doubt. I'll take that to the grave. Because when I got to the light, I just knew I'd been there millions of times before, not just once or twice, millions. Now, of course, I can't remember all of them. Hardly, just the stuff I did remember sent me bonkers. But I'd been to the light. That doesn't mean to say I'd incarnated as a human millions of times, Jeff. Right? And you start to think of, I went into a deep anxiety, and I got a bit of depression about this because I got hit. The reason why is because you start to question, well, who created God? You really get into the deep stuff, so deep that it's bordering on insane. Who created God? Who created consciousness? What's the Big Bang? What creates the Big Bang and the big implosion? Why does it happen? Is there an exponential or a finite amount of information that can happen during a Big Bang, and then when it's big crunch, and it says, well, we know everything. We need to bang again to find out more. This gets into some very deep metaphysics and the whole notion of hidden realms. Like God versus the creation versus the created. Very, very deep discourse that can really, if you're not primed with decades of philosophical thought, and you're not ready to really canvas things that are almost bordering on impossible, you can't write them down on paper. You have to experience them. And this is why a lot of this stuff is not written about.
Right. I remember I had a guest once, and I don't know how he traveled there, and I don't know if it was from an NDE or what, but the God that we all have is only one of 12 gods. And this person traveled even beyond those 12 gods to something else, maybe even another creator.
Well, let's break this down. I mean, and this gets into the cosmology, the current cosmology of Christianity, Islam, and I don't know about Judaism, but once you start breaking God down from a monotheistic principle, so then you become polytheistic, right? So there becomes multiple gods. Now, as soon as you start splitting gods into parts, I can't go there, because I know that God is one, but we are the parts, right? And so what happens is, as we go back to the source, you're being, and I was discussing this last night with somebody, that you're being reabsorbed into the one. But ironically, the one contains the all. And so the only way you're being absorbed into something so vast, but at the same time, it's so simple and so complex that both of those merge together, simplicity and complexity. It's the ultimate duality of consciousness. That's where you can go bonkers, because all time exists and no time exists. every soul exists, but no soul has individuality. It's all one. And people get terrified. It's terrifying because they think, I'm going to lose me. I'm going to lose my identity. It's like you're still thinking with human consciousness. You're still thinking about attachment to self as gender, nation, personhood, culture. All of that is gone. It's totally stripped, but the love is so powerful. You want to go there. You want to go there. You want to dissolve yourself into it. Yes, there's still a sense of I, right? And I merge. So this concept of 12 gods, that's getting into some tricky areas. That needs to be discussed one-on-one with that person to break it down to say, what's the process of those gods? What do they individually do? What's their role in the universal, because some things we don't need to know. Some things are automatically happening. Like, I don't know, I saw a bit about the animal and the insect kingdom and the plant kingdom. I saw a lot of that initially in my NDE. And I thought, well, I don't need to really know about it because it runs autonomous without me, right? All those kingdoms run without humans. They don't need humans to run all those kingdoms. We're like the capstone of all of these, but we need them to survive. Without them, we die. So they have a primary function in keeping this biosphere alive and healthy.
Right.
And so once you start having people saying, nature, disconnect from, no, you don't want to disconnect from nature. You might as well chuck your food in the bin and stop eating.
Yeah.
You might as well stop breathing.
Right.
Now,
you have the one book, God's Mountain. What are you working on next besides being a painter? Are you working on putting out any other content?
Well, I was collating a question and answer. And look, what I realized, the essence of my book might have been a bit confronting to people because I went a little bit too deep on it. Okay. I exposed what happened, why the pyramid was built, who used it, where we came from, our evolution, that we were pre-hominid, extraterrestrial involvement. And this scares the crap out of people. I'm not scared of it because it's like, well, here we are. Right. We're cognitive, aware beings. But I think what's happening is I thought, I've come from the top down. To work from the bottom up is a completely different process. That means you've got to try, you can't force people to wake up. This much I've figured out.
Yeah.
But there's an innate sense of wanting to know the truth. Most people that are looking, right, are looking for something that they're not even aware of. I mean, I know I was like that prior to my NDE. I was questioning things. Why does this happen? What's going on here? Simple questions. And of course, these simple questions can lead you to other questions. And it's like a realm of doors and gates. You have to go through them. And if you've got enough fire, internal fire, you can ask more and more and more questions till ultimately ask the biggest questions. Why are we here? Where are we going? Who are we? Who are we really? Because we're not this body and flesh. This is just a spacesuit.
Right.
I was shown at least 10, 15 lives that I'd been on Earth. And I thought, wow, I was Asian. I was a black woman in Africa, way back, close to 300,000 years ago. But we weren't, dumb tribalists throwing spears at people. It was a very high culture. But the problem is today you've got the politicization of black versus white. We all know what's going on in the media. This is all politicized to keep us divided. We were not divided as a philosophical species because we were ruled by loving entities who cared for us. There was no slave driving, none of that business. This is all the red herrings that are thrown on to say that there was an elite that used to whip us to do things. No. They were loving human beings that had a role to do. And it was one of the hardest roles on the planet, was to guide humans to incarnate once or a couple of times and then move off. This was just an experience and something went wrong. Right, something terribly went wrong where there was a split in the hierarchy. And this story is embedded in the Bible, by the way. Lucifer, the archangel, turns away from God and wanted to be God himself. He wanted to be equal to God. Now, this is why I very carefully, you have to be astute with this, to say that when people say, we are God, I say, no. That's coming from God's perspective. We're all one. but we are still individuals experiencing ourselves within the oneness. And there's a big difference. You can be a godlike man, but to be a man god, that's the ancient pharaonic stuff being overlaid, right? So somebody wants to rule the planet that does not have the wisdom mind, does not have the compassion. If someone is ordering war or killing, they don't understand the oneness of it all. You have to pay that back. This is when we start to get into reincarnation and karma. Yeah. Right. Of which is demonized. It's demonized.
Right.
You know,
brother, I am so sorry. I'm 42 minutes overtime and I still have 3 people waiting on me. So I am going to have to run. It's been 42. A long time since you've been here. So I hope that you don't stay away for so long again.
Oh, look, I just got triggered by the pyramid and I thought it was interesting about the dinosaurs. And I just wondered, I did a meme about a brontosaurus lifting rocks onto the capstone, which with the pharaoh sitting on top, which, as a joke, but I didn't see that dinosaurs were involved. That's just me personally, but I do know levitation was involved, but this is too far out for people to comprehend. This is too, too woo-woo, as you say. But science is starting to prove that we can levitate objects now. And I do talk, I try to mention it in my book, but it's like I couldn't get my head around it.
Right.
It was connected with sound and light. But Jeff, thanks for having me on. And
thanks again for coming. It's great seeing you again. And everybody, if you want to know more about what we were talking about, then check out John's book, God's Mountain. All right, John. Take care, brother.
Thanks, Jeff.
See you later. Bye. Cheers. And that was John. We haven't seen him in quite a while. We've got 3 people left. These are the last 3 people because, like I said, I'm already 43 minutes over, and I usually try to stay as long as people are wanting to come on, but this has been my longest night ever, which is pretty amazing.
Hello?
Oh.
Hello?
Hey, are you there?
I am. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Good. Good. I think I hear the video. Oh, the music's very good. I think I hear you. Well, what was the person called? What's his name before me?
That was John.
John. Okay.
John Scott. You don't want to turn on your camera?
Oh, right. If it's okay, I would not. I really don't like. Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, what do you have to share with us?
Well, I was with you last week.
Okay, yes, all right. I'm thinking that was possibly you.
And
from Germany, right?
Exactly. And I mean, this was just very delightful to hear John, because he basically referenced, in my opinion, like everything that I wanted to reference. So he said it now in the end. And so when I'm speaking from my own perspective, or when I'm saying I research, it is usually through my higher consciousness. I only connect to my higher consciousness. I'm aware there might be other levels above me, but that's where I'm at. And so I wanted to also just reference the pyramids, because I think he just said it. What I can sense from all of this so far is that there have been multiple energies being seeded on the planet over various amounts of times, like long stretches of times. And one of those, I don't know how you could call them, races from the past, they were very human-like also, and they built it with their minds, basically. And he just basically referenced this too, like he said with light and sound, and I fully agree. So anyway, I just wanted to, I thought he was, I think I'm going to reference a few things. He also just referenced the ancient pharaohs that might be doing some things on this planet. And anyway, so, I talked about it last time, just that there are a few things going on, and I thought I'll take 15 minutes again to try to express it a little bit better, what I was trying to say last time. And the thing is that I do believe I'm a starseed, right? Because you asked me last time, do you think you're a starseed? So I was born with this desire to save the planet. This is the strongest desire in me. There's basically nothing else but that. And so my whole life, in my late 30s now, has been a little bit like searching, what is it, what is it, what is it? And I've been acting in the best alignment as I could with this mission in my heart and my whole being. And why I chose to come on this time is, like I shared, that I just discovered potentially, this is one of the first times where I'm like, oh, I think that's why I'm here. And this is what's going on. And he referenced it, I believe, a little bit too, but maybe I'm just making this up. But it is, because I mean, we can talk about the other scenarios too, where I thought this is why I'm here, but this, oh God, I'm not clear right now. I believe that humans, I call them earthlings a little, are being suppressed. And how we're being suppressed is, I referenced it last time, through a lot of chemicals and through a lot of misinformation in the news, for example, through not allowing us all like, to share the NDEs, for example. I mean, this is possible now over YouTube, but there's a specific knowledge that is being kept out of the mass media. And yeah, and I believe that, like I shared last time, there is a plan going on by a few people. And I think I wanted to talk to you because sometimes in your videos, I felt like if you would also have an openness to look there of what are the next 10 years specifically about, because, you know, the 2030 reset and all those plans that are going on, it's a massive undertaking of what's about to happen to humans, I believe, if we're not waking up more. Yeah. Was I don't think I was the opposite.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I mean, you know, I hear everything that you're saying, and I think you make good points. I mean, there's nothing for me to question you, I guess. I mean, I think that you're making valid points.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. It's just tonight has also been, I usually stop at 9 and it's almost 10. I'm way over time. I've never gone this late before. And I usually made it I've always said I just stay till the end, but this is the first time people just keep coming. So it's a different experience for me.
Yeah. Well, it might stay like this now that you're just.
Yeah. I might have to reroute it to, instead of 2 hours, to 3 hours, because which is, I think it's a great thing, because that means that this Saturday night podcast is growing, that there's a lot of people here and people aren't leaving. So maybe I should either start earlier. I'm not sure starting earlier or going later is the right answer. What do you think?
It's exactly, I think, more about your sleeping schedule, maybe, what you desire.
Well, we're night owls. We're here. We're up every night. We're vampires. We're like vampires. We're up where we live the night. My wife and I, we are night owls. We're up editing and doing all kinds of stuff. And then, you know, we also take care of our kids. So we work odd hours. Anyways, I'm sorry. I should run. I appreciate you coming on. I'm not sure what to call you. I just say Bay. I don't know if you ever told us your name.
Yeah, it's Balin. That's a short form.
Balin, okay. But Balin, we appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. And maybe we'll see you back next week.
Maybe we can see her.
And maybe next time you'll put on your camera.
Maybe.
Maybe, because it is YouTube and people like to see the guests.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it is true. So thank you so much for coming and sharing. We really appreciate you. And I got to run. And have a great rest of your weekend.
Good evening. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. And we'll give her a big round of applause. And let's see. I got to say thank you to Ageless Wisdom Speaks. Thank you so much for that super thanks. We really appreciate it. And it says, what appears to be foolish will confound the self-appointed wise, as the weak will confound the self-appointed mighty. So thank you again, Ageless Wisdom Speaks. We really appreciate that, and we wish you the best. Next up is K.N. Wright. What if I'm pronouncing that correctly? K.N. Wright? I thought it was going to be night, but there's an R there. And I want to say thank you guys all for being here. This is amazing. It's amazing that we're still here longer than we've ever been, and I think it's a great sign that we're moving in a positive direction, that more people are here. One second. Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, how are you? I'm so sorry. How do I pronounce your name?
Karen.
Karen.
I know,
Hi.
I don't know why I have it on there like that.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
It's like a combination of my first and last name there.
That makes complete sense. Where are you Zooming from?
Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio. Wow. I think you're my first guest from Dayton, Ohio.
Close to Cincinnati. I've called you multiple times, or joined in a couple times. One time I was in San Diego. You thought I was in Australia.
Okay. Wow, you're all over the place.
Yeah, I missed you today because I had a play, but I don't know. I just had to call in and I won't keep you because I know you've had a long night. I can't wait to rewatch what happened tonight.
That's okay. What do you have to share with us?
I just wanted to remind people how special they are, and to make sure that you're kind, compassionate, and loving to yourself. And make sure you give yourself a thumbs up every day, because it's so important, and that helps to change the world.
Why do you think people are not kind to themselves? Why are people so hard on themselves?
Just human nature. Our mind runs our whole world. Obviously, you know the story. Our thoughts are creating our whole existence. Mm-hmm. And so it starts with you. And for some reason, I had an experience where I got stuck in Florida for 3 weeks, not stuck, my friend's car broke down. So we were down there for 3 weeks. I just happened to have that conversation with two of them. We stayed at her father-in-law's house, and she called me recently and reminded me that I sparked that interest in her. She was looking in the mirror, being down on herself because she's getting older, blah, blah, blah. You know what our minds do. And she said that she remembered what I said and turned back to the mirror and said, hey, girl, you got this. And it's so important if you do it every day. And I just felt like I needed to call in tonight to tell everybody that.
What I think is amazing about near-death experiencers, or at least the experience they comment on, is that on the other side, all of our mental chatter disappears. And what that must be nice? Like. Yeah,
that'll be nice, won't it?
Yeah, that'd be great.
But in meditation, even though I've heard a couple of people come on and speak about meditation and how you have to empty your mind. Mm-hmm. Well, you do, but your mind never stops. So let's just be honest. Right. What you do with it is you watch it like clouds, and you pay attention to what's coming through, because you want to revisit it, because it's usually the things that you're struggling with that are coming through in meditation. It's the things that are just you're not letting go of, or you're not solving. So it's not like, I'm sure you get there. And when you do go into a transcendental place, then it does become quiet, because you have no choice. It's literally, everyone can see the light. You can go into the light and you don't have to die, but you do have to be able to let go of your human mind. And that's just, it's practice, practice, practice. Some people, it happens really fast, but typically it's a little bit of practice.
I'm from the amount of meditation I have been doing, and I am not an expert, but I feel like one of the keys is relaxing your body to the point where you forget about your body. Mm-hmm. And then it's like your body disappears, and when all your thoughts about your body and being uncomfortable or whatever are gone, then you move to the next step. I don't know if that's now clearing your mind or what, but I think that's, for me, one of the biggest things to overcome, is just relax to the point where I forgot about my body. It's almost like a
Right.
dream, right? Like when you go to sleep, I think that you kind
It
of,
is.
you're asleep and you forget about your body.
Right. Well, they say that we are always existing. Yes. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how we tend to dream and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. But have you ever noticed though, sometimes a stupid thought will come in the middle of that, but sometimes that little thought will allow me to go even deeper, which is super weird.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super weird how that works for me. But yeah.
Well, anyways, well, thank you, Karen, so much for sharing with us tonight. Come back next week, maybe come earlier, and we can talk some more.
Everybody practice it, okay?
All right.
Give yourself a thumbs up.
That's a great idea. Take care.
You too.
Have a great rest of your evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, and there is a big round of applause for Karen. And we've got Vanessa Vega. She has been a previous guest. I don't know what number she is, but she has been on the program, or the podcast, I should say, actually. Not or, but maybe I should call it the podcast, not the program. But she's been here. She should probably, or she may know the number. And actually, John Scott earlier has been on, I think 3 or 4 times. We've done full podcasts with him. I think I haven't, there's a bunch there that you can watch. And as again, take care. Have a great rest of your evening. Vanessa.
Hi.
Hello. Did you mute the YouTube video?
Yeah. Hello. I start here.
There you are.
I'm here.
How are things down in Puerto Rico?
Oh, hot. It's getting hot.
It's getting hot already. Oh, okay. Well, that means it's time to go to the beach.
Yes. Well, it's time to go to the beach
every day. Yeah. Do you remember what number you were? What podcast number you were?
I was 475.
475. That's amazing, because I think what number are we working on? 780 something.
Imagine you're doubling that already.
787. So it's been over a year since you were on. That's amazing.
Exactly a year. I believe it was for May that I was.
Right. That's amazing. What do you got to share with us tonight?
Well, I was listening. You were talking about the pyramids and all this.
So the pyramid's a hot topic tonight.
Yes, I know, and I've been receiving a lot of information and also been corroborating a lot of information. And I just wanted to let you know that I don't know if you know about this other show, this YouTube show that's called, I believe it's called Next Level Soul.
The Alex Ferrari.
Alex,
yeah, he's going to. We're talking, and we're planning on that. He's going to be my guest.
That's great.
Yeah.
So he had last week he had Greg Braden.
Greg Braden. Okay, yeah, he's a real famous guy.
Yes, and he was talking about all this. He had a great interview about the pyramids with him, with Alex. And I suggest you go, because there's a lot of information that he shared there about, and which coincides exactly with what I my take on it, about the pyramids being like, these people knew how to deal with energy, and they were civilizations that the aliens did help them, and they lived here.
Right.
So we from those people.
Well,
so he had a lot of information on that.
Well, I haven't confirmed it yet, to be more exact, but we are in the talks of recording on the second week of May. So I'll try to remember to ask him about what he has learned about the pyramids.
Oh, but Alex?
Yeah, Alex, yeah.
Alex interviewed Greg about that.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe Alex can tell us, he can give us a synopsis of what Greg said.
great information about that. And the truth is that since the beginning of time, and my take on it, the beginning of time, mankind is an oppressed species because basically they didn't want us to know that we are divine, that we are capable of curing ourselves, that we are capable, because we're made of this divine material energy that we don't understand yet, not fully. We're starting to. We are divine beings that are capable of doing limitless things.
Right. You know, what you're saying, in a way, I have a guest tomorrow that's, to me, in my opinion, a must-watch video, because he kind of says the same thing, maybe. He is someone who's been basically out-of-body experiencing from sleep paralysis for, I don't know his age, but I'm guessing he's been doing it for at least 10 years. And it sounds like he's mastered it. And it is an amazing, he fills in some more puzzle pieces where indie ears can't. And he explains why indie ears, what they see is, I don't know if you could say clouded or whatever. It's hard to really explain why it's different. But it's, like I said, I think it's a must. If you're like NDEs and all the stuff we talk about, then it's a must-watch video. His name's Darius J. Wright. He's great. And I hope you guys love it. I think it was a fascinating video, and I think you're right. I mean, maybe. I think you are right saying that we are immortal beings and we can do whatever.
Yes,
we can do whatever. You know.
What we believe is what we end up living. So we believe that we are incapable, that we're not enough. And because we don't see that divinity in us, we've been limiting ourselves, and we codepend. We created a society that codepends on others, like medicines and all this stuff. We go outside. We don't connect inside to see the divinity within us. Instead, we're constantly codepending on the outside to provide everything, right, for us. We even pay for power, which energy is something that it's free and it's super abundant, because everything is made out of energy in the world. So we shouldn't be fighting over petroleum, or we shouldn't be nothing of that, right? Because we are made of it.
Right.
So it's the most abundant thing we have in the whole universe, energy.
Right.
And it is so intuitive, basically, to have to go, but we don't investigate. Mankind does not, and the evidence is out there of the pyramids. If Greg even explained that they did in 1989, they did a sample. They took a sample of the stones of the pyramids to see how old they were. And when they studied, they became aware that they weren't made out of limestone. It's not limestone. They were made of a special epoxy that to this day they have not been able to copy.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
they were built. They did not. That's why all this time people were thinking that the slaves were taking all this heavy stone, 70 tons of stones up. And it's not true. They were made from epoxy. They were liquid, and they were made molded. Molded.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so it is, and this is known. This is things that are already there's evidence about it, and this is something that is known. So. But changing history, right? Changing the status quo now, going back and telling everybody that history was wrong all this time. And
good luck.
You have to rewrite everything. So
Right.
so, but it's very the basic point here from it's the power, right? Always someone is trying to control, other civilizations are trying to control, and whoever has the power, well, wants to keep you from knowing that you are powerful, truly powerful.
Right.
Because it's not convenient.
Yeah.
It's not convenient. So
Right.
so basically, I just wanted to jump in because I heard you talking about all this and suggest that you watch that, and now that you're having Alex coming and talking, you ask him about all that, because yes, a great information on about the pyramids and how civilizations, how centuries we are, mankind is much older than 5,000 years.
Right. Yeah.
Much older, and we believed all this. And this is our beliefs, right? And that's what we end up living because we truly believe. But we're starting to wake up slowly, and it is very needed that we do the questions. That's who we truly are, from where do we come. We go back and observe our past, because the information is there, evidence is there.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful, the evidence that now we have, which we know that not all these things, all these civilizations like the Incas, the Mayas, all this, that we didn't come actually from the apes or nothing like that.
Right. Yeah. Vanessa, I am so sorry. I have to run it. I got to get to the next guest, and then I got to prepare the video for tomorrow. Yes, but before I go, what is your website for everybody to know more about you?
You find me. I have a YouTube channel already.
Okay.
In Evo Life 360.
That's right, Evo Life 360, and then I think your website's evolife360.com, right?
Oh, yes, it's gonna be exactly evolife360.com.
All right, Vanessa, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. We appreciate you. Don't be a stranger, and have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And a big round of applause for her. And let's bring on my last guest of the night, TLC Stylus 5G. Sounds like a phone, but when I think of stylus, it reminds me of a record player. For those of you that are older like me, I guess you will remember what a record player is and know what one is. And when I think of the needle, that little compartment where the needle is connected to the part that all plugs into the arm, isn't that called a stylus? I forgot. That's what I thought they called that whole little that component, not compartment, that component. Isn't that called the stylus? I'm not sure. Any of you turntable techies out there would probably know. I'm gonna wait a minute here. So before I go, I don't know if Leslie Kings is still here or not, but he has been, and Amy Collins said yes, stylus record player, so I'm right. Again, I have a great podcast for you tomorrow night. And I don't even know if Stylus is there. He's not, or she's not popping on. Ken says I'm right too. So thank you, Creative Learning. Thank you for everybody hanging out. I'm going to run. I'm sorry to TLC Stylus 5G. Please come back next week. I'm not sure where you are anyways, but please come back next Saturday. I've got to run. I've got to work a little bit on that video for tomorrow for you guys. It was a great night. This was the first time we were busy through 3 hours. So that's something we've got to think about now, is going from a 2-hour show to a 3-hour show. So we've really grown. which is great, and to be busy the entire time. All right, so that is the end of the night, end of the week. And again, Leslie Kings, I don't know if he's there or not, but he has been there, and he has been performing live channeled music for you. So if you guys want to go and hang out on his channel, there's 400 of you here. If you want to go and hang out, you can still chat there and listen to music. So I think that's really cool. And that's it. I will see you guys back next Saturday. If each one of you would bring a friend, we'll double it to 800 people. And then I really would like to get it to 1,000. That's my first goal with this chat, is to get it to 1,000 people at once. I think it'll be really awesome. And so anyways, yes, thanks again for watching. We hope to see you back next Saturday. Thank you for watching all of our videos. We love you